Welcome everyone to Jimmy John's Field here in Utica, Michigan, preparing for another great matchup here tonight. It's the Utica Unicorns, the #1 team in the league, and the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers here tonight as well. Jeremy Edel alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. here from the United Shore Media Desk in this fine pregame show here today, presented by CAMPGROUND, Pediatrics, and Wellness as well. You look at last night, this is the third game in a row overall for the Unicorns, so they're kind of getting in a groove, playing, winning 2 in a row here to start the week.
I think it can help with your bats, certainly. You start to find a little bit of a rhythm, and especially when you're winning ball games, I think you can gain some confidence, and I think we're starting to see that with them. Some better at-bats overall, and it's just a matter of pitching. If they can get enough good pitching to stretch out and last all of those games in a row. Last night, they sort of pieced it together with a bunch of guys, so it worked out okay.
You look at the 7th inning, which is, if you're new to USPBL baseball this year, it's basically the 9th. I mean, we're only playing 7-inning games, so Nolan Clenny in to clinch yet another save. He has 4 coming into the game last night. Got a little dicey, runners on second and third, 2 outs, a run already in, a line drive to second base. Really nice play by Hodo, though, to clamor it home, because who knows, probably 2 runs score on that play and we're tied.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a tie ball game for sure if he doesn't come up with that one. And I thought Clenny was fine. The first hitter of that inning is an E6 on a ball that Malik Blaze handles 99 times out of 100. It was just one of those weird things that happened. But when you start out the 7th inning with an error, it kind of puts you in a dicey spot right off the bat. But he's got the kind of stuff to get out of it, and he was able to yesterday.
Well, early on in the year, the story for the Unicorns certainly pitching, whether it was Ty Hensley or the back end of the bullpen or any of these guys who've really done a great job for Jim Essian this year, whether it's off the taxi squad or on the actual Utica Unicorns roster. Now it's the hitting, and we're seeing a guy like Nick Snyder kind of get into form. Frankie Luska, they have a lot of hope for him too, that he's going to be a really good hitter. Bethencourt has been added, Hodo has been added, so there's some guys that could potentially put this offense on a roll as well.
Yeah, it's really 2 different elements, right? It's the guys that have been there and are finally heating up. Snyder, like you said, is a definite example. I think Derek Hurt, maybe another example, didn't have any hits last night, but he's taking consistently better swings, making consistent contact, and speed, of course, never slumps, so that's always good for him. Ashton Bardzell, another guy taking better swings, and then, like you said, Luska, a great add for this team, can play multiple positions, bat from the left side, and then Bethencourt looks like a guy who can hit the ball over the fence and drive in some runs. If they can get this offense going, it's going to be awfully hard to catch them, because I think the pitching is going to be there.
Now time to take a look at the starting lineups for tonight's game. As always, brought to you by AAA of Michigan, first for the visiting Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers here tonight. Von Joshua will send out TJ Riles again at the top of the order. Definitely been a burst to the top of the order for his squad in the offensive department. Freddie Geely again in the 2-hole here today. It's Weimer, Oland, and Comer batting 3-4-5. We do not see Xavier Warren here today. He's been floating around in the taxi squad of late. Ross Haffey, Romero Harris, Ron Williams Jr. in there as well, with Jonathan Brandt rounding it out. They'll face Miguel Sereno here today. More on him and A.J. Coleman, your 2 starters today, later on in our pregame show. As for the home Utica Unicorns, it's Frankie Luska back at the top and catching for his 2nd consecutive game here tonight. Adam De La Cruz batting 2nd, with Curry, Bardzell, and Bethencourt in the 3 through 5 part of the order for Jim Essian. Nick Snyder back in there in the 6th hole, riding a 4-game hitting streak here today. Malik Blaze, Derek Hurt, and John Hodo at the bottom of this Unicorns lineup. And I talked to Jim Essian about John Hodo, and he says, when you start to see him kind of move up the lineup, which they think will happen sooner than later, that's when he's adjusted to the league, he's adjusted to his pitching, but they like him with his speed and his energy and kind of everything that he brings to this ball club.
Yeah, the returns are already good, obviously with a game-saving play at the end of the day yesterday. They've got some guys on this team who are athletic and can run. I think if there's any problem, quote unquote, it's that they've got to move guys around a little bit, right? You had some good infielders already. Malik Blaze, of course, is a good infielder. De La Cruz is one of their best hitters also right now, and now we're seeing him in the outfield, so that's a little bit of a change. But that's a good problem to have.
Well, the Home Run Derby here tomorrow. We'll carry it right here on our air pregame show at 5:20 with the All-Star game following that. 3 participants in today's game between these 2 squads. Maybe we see a little preview tomorrow?
I hope so. That would be exciting for all of us, I think. Luska, the guy from the left side who is leading off of all things, being a home run hitter. You don't always see that. Joey Weimer, another guy who can run like the wind, but he's got, the type of power to be in the home run derby, so that's certainly exciting. And then Heffy, all you need to say about Heffy is that he's the defending champion, right, of the home run derby. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night.
Well, it should be a fun night here as well. Good pitching matchup again. Take a look at that in our pitcher comparison, brought to you by Denso next here on the USPBL Network. Stick with us.
Order Jimmy John's and we'll bring it to your car door. Leave it at your front door or have it ready for you at our drive-thru. Just use jimmyjohns.com or our app to tell us what sandwiches, drinks, chips, and cookies you're hungry for. When you want it and how you want it. We're ready.
Catch the Chevy Colorado at your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Lease a 2020 Colorado LT four-wheel drive crew cab for just $229 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Beautiful day for baseball here at Jimmy John's Field, just moments away from first pitch. Tonight's game is presented by Campground, Pediatrics, and Wellness, and brought to you by these fine sponsors as well. AAA, Ascension, BELFOR Property Restoration, Detroit Medical Center, DTE Energy, Dunham Sports, Dunkin' Donuts, Green for Life, proud to be the official environmental services provider of Jimmy John's Field, GreenPath Financial Wellness, Jimmy John's, your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, Summit Oral, and United Shore. We thank those fine partners for their sponsorship of this broadcast and certainly this season here at Jimmy John's Field as well. Time for your pitcher comparison, brought to you by Denso again here tonight. There you see a brand new face in the USPBL. It's a guy they like, though, Dan.
Yeah, Miguel Sereno. It'll be interesting. That's a, it's hard to see the Unicorns with a situation where we're not so sure about the starting pitching. That's been so dependable for them all year. This is obviously a new face, a guy that we don't know a ton about yet, and they've got also Damon Ellis on the roster today, who's another pitcher that we haven't seen yet. So it could be a lot of unknown for the Unicorns pitching today. We'll see how it plays out.
A.J. Coleman on the other end has been kind of the duo with Ty Hensley. He would normally go here today, but because of the All-Star game tomorrow, he's set to start that one against Garrett Chrisman on the other side as well. But, it's kind of fitting that a guy like Miguel Sereno is starting here today because he's another power arm, and it seems, like Coleman always goes against a guy who throws hot, but Coleman usually matches him with the flyouts and the groundouts and, some strikeouts mixed in between as well.
Yeah, he has a way of staying right with those guys, but it's just a totally different style. A sinker ball guy doesn't really get the swing and miss like some of these power arms do, but he finds ways to compete, and if he can locate that two-seam fastball down in the zone, he's going to keep his team in the ballgame.
Now time for Dan Griesbaum Jr.'s keys to the game. What do you got today?
Well, for sure, I think Miguel Sereno and potentially Damon Ellis, the other unknown arm, will be right there at the top of that list, whatever we get out of them. And I think with this Unicorns lineup, we touched on Nick Snyder earlier. If he's a guy who can continue to stay hot, it's just going to be vitally important to this Unicorns team to have a guy in the middle of the lineup who can drive in runs. So I think, watching Nick Snyder and his progression, he's been 9 for his last 26, which is about a 350 average, and if he can keep that up, it'll mean a lot to these Unicorns.
First pitch between the Beavers and the Unicorns coming up next here on the USPBL Network. Don't go anywhere.
Suds on Mound offers plenty of options to get your laundry done. Clean, convenient, and with clear, low pricing. No confusing cards to load or upcharges for hot water, like the other guys. We operate with quarters for one price washes with maximum water settings to get your clothes cleaner, faster. We offer 61 machines, including 3 80-pound washers, the largest in production. Suds on Mound offers self-service, wash, dry, and fold service, and we can even service entryway rugs and king-size down-filled comforters. Washes can be done as fast as 16 minutes. Our Speed Queen machines are the only brand still made in America, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
Hi, I'm Jason from Suds on Mound. Come on in, we'll get you clean. All right, Ruby, you're all set.
Mention this ad for 10% off your wash, dry, and fold service.
There's Miguel Cirino, a guy that they really like. Jim Essien brought him to the tryouts, kind of knowing that he would be signed. They just wanted to make sure that everything checked off and everything that he's seen in the past. But he's a guy that tops out at 95, 93 to 95 in the fastball, a curveball, a slider. They like his off speed as well, Dan.
Well, if he can throw 93 to 95, he's right. He's going to be signed at a tryout 99 times out of 100, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll see how he can settle in today. Having a great arm is one thing, but seeing live game competition, and hasn't been a lot of that this year. Hasn't been much of a spring training this year, so we'll see how he comes out here in the first.
Ottawa University, his last couple years in college, went to JUCO his first 2 as well, native of Louisa, Puerto Rico.
I feel like we haven't seen this Beavers lineup in a little bit.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
It does.
And you've actually seen them one more time than I have,
Right.
on Saturday. TJ Riles, Freddie Geely, Joey Weimer, your Zach Hart agency 3-men due up here in the first inning against Cirino. The first pitch of the ball game at 7:03 p.m. outside. Game time temperature 85 degrees. Pretty steamy today with that sun out all day long. I did my little daily walk, and I was sweating by the time.
Right.
2-0 here on TJ Riles. So Von Joshua has gotten quite a few nice pieces added to his lineup over the last couple weeks. We saw Weimer and Warren hit back-to-back for several games in a row. Warren has been distributed amongst a couple teams so far this week and over the last 2. But Weimer back in there. You see Riles here. Ross Haffey, power threat, is back in there as well. Swing and a miss at 93.
All fastballs so far.
Cirino also has a changeup. That's something that's kind of been in development for him. Talked to his college skipper at Ottawa University, kind of sprinkling some of that throughout the broadcast. Nice swing and a miss. 93 right by him, and Cirino gets his first pro strikeout here in the first.
Took 6 pitches, but all fastballs, and if he can locate that fastball today, he's going to have a lot of success. Nice and easy 93 right out of the gate.
Check the defense. Sponsored by AAA, you have Hurt, De La Cruz, and Barzell in the outfield. It's Bethencourt and Curry on the corners, and Blaze and Hodo back up the middle. And that Blaze and Hodo combination is something to watch, I think, going forward, Dan.
Yeah, they're going to be really strong defensively up the middle. We'll see who ends up being the center fielder for this club, if it'll be Coley Curry or if De La Cruz might settle there. It'll be interesting to see.
On the ground, off a 93-mile-per-hour fastball. And, Dan, this is easy gas. You just watch this delivery. It kind of reminds you a little bit of Verlander, how he just, rocks up the leg, rocks back, and pins it in
yeah,
for
he's not
93.
Not a max effort type guy, I don't think. I'd like to see him throw something off speed this inning just to get it out of the way. You want to settle in, but you want to try to settle in with all your pitches in the first inning.
So here's Joey Weimer. Off to a 400 start in 15 at-bats, 6 for 15 thus far for Joey, as that's whittled back to the screen at 92.
Joey didn't miss that one by much. He was certainly looking
He knew
fastball.
it was coming, yeah.
He looks He looks a little frustrated with himself that he missed that one.
Don't often see him swing out of his shoes like that. Practicing for tomorrow, I guess.
Could be. Oh, there we go. He's like, I better try something else now.
Looked like the slider.
Yep. 77.
So his curve and slider are going to be very much the same pitch in terms of velocity, not in terms of the movement. 1-1. 2 sliders in a row as that one remained high. Two-one pitch, chopped on the ground. Weimer has some speed. This could be trouble. Betancourt over to first for out number 3.
It's a nice play.
So we saw Miguel mix in a couple breaking balls. Got a 5-3 ground out. Struck out Riles to begin things. A clean inning to start his pro career. Not bad.
All the opportunities I've been given, I would not have been able to get at bigger universities.
Here, the professor cares about your success and is willing to work for it with you.
So much preparation for the future.
I couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
The difference that we bring to pediatric care isn't just the fact that we care deeply about our patients and want to partner with their parents in delivering the best care for their children, because a lot of pediatricians can deliver great care. What we do differently at Campground Pediatrics is we offer a different environment to deliver that care, and we offer personal service in a way that many practices can't.
The Chevy Trax from your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers has a sporty, compact design that makes it the perfect SUV for everywhere you like to roll. Lease a 2020 Trax LT front-wheel drive for just $222 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
A.J. Coleman getting his 6th start of the year. 7th appearance overall. 4.85 ERA. I mean, that's elevated mostly because of that one start 2 games ago against these very Utica Unicorns. 3 1/3, 9 hits, 8 earned runs. Otherwise, Dan, he's been right up there with the greats.
Yep, almost exclusively because of that one outing. Just had a, you know, one of those situations where when you're not a power pitcher, you need to have your command, and that was a day where he was leaving that two-seam fastball up in the zone a little bit, wasn't getting on top of it to command it, get that downward action that he needs. And he got hit around a little bit. It's going to happen when you're not a, you know, quote-unquote strikeout pitcher, although he does get a fair amount of strikeouts when he's going good, but he's not a guy who's going to throw his fastball by you.
Talked to pitching coordinator Shane McCaddy about his last start. He just said he's established a nice pace and was consistent with his timing, and pacing is everything for a guy who likes to work quickly.
We have a lot of those guys in this league. It's kind of nice. You know, they don't put their defense to sleep. This is a guy that's going to use his defense a lot. He's got a pretty good one, really, behind him, you know, especially up the middle. You know, Geely and Brandt.
Frankie Luska, Adam De La Cruz, and Coley Curry are Zach Hart agency men on deck for the first inning here. Perfect inning for Miguel Ciarino in the first. Strikeout, ground out, ground out. That one lowered away at 87. We'll probably see 3 from Miguel here tonight, maybe 4 if he can keep that pitch count in line. He threw 12 in inning number 1.
If every inning's like that one, we might see 4.
Maybe 5. They said around 45 pitches, so he would have to have a couple maybe first pitch outs.
Yeah, get some contact. We have to count on him for some contact. He's going to go a little quicker.
First pitch curveball here and there, maybe.
Right.
1-1 is downstairs. 2:59 start for Frankie Luska. 7 for 27 thus far. Got here kind of in the middle of most guys. I mean, you have your tryout guys, you have guys like Luska, and then you have the guys who were here kind of all the way around.
Right.
And they weren't really bringing in guys at much of a clip at all after the first wave of the season. They were looking to see, hey, are we going to play the full 75 that they outlined?
Yep.
2-2 on the ground to Brandt. Ranges deep in the hole. Lobs it over to first for out number 1.
Brandt's very adept at going to his right like that, and he's got enough arm to where he can make a good throw without fully setting his feet, or resetting his feet, I should say.
Check the rest of the defense behind A.J. Coleman here today. It's Riles in left, Weimer in center for the first time, Harris out in right. You have Olin and Haffey on the corners. A good combination of Geely and Brandt up the middle, with Comer completing the battery here tonight. It's sponsored by AAA. Your look at the defense for the Beavers. First pitch to De La Cruz, a swing and a tapper foul. He was 0 for 4 last night, but in the middle of a pretty good stretch. Jim Essien still wants to see that gap-to-gap power that we know that De La Cruz has. And he says, I think, you know, one day sooner than later, he's going to have a stretch where he hits 2 or 3 over the left field fence.
That'll be a big boost to this team if he does.
He said he has a man swing. Does De La Cruz. 0-1 is low. I mean, Essien's been pretty comfortable moving De La Cruz around, and you talk to Adam, and in terms of defensively, he's fine with that too. Just one of those guys, one of the captains here on this Unicorn squad.
Speaking of defense, it's strange to see Romero Harris in right.
It is.
So used to seeing him in center field.
He's done a pretty good job in center field for Vaughn Joshua this year. 2-1 pitches, looped foul. There you see Olin pretty tight to the line at third base here with 1 out and the base is clear. Coley Curry would be next, and then Ashton Bardzell. Here's Zach Hart Agency men on deck here in the home half of the first. No score. Now the 2-2 away. Center fielder Weimer plays De La Cruz slightly in. But when you have speed like that, you can afford to play a little bit more in. 3-2 is fouled back.
You can see how Coleman's ball straightens out a little bit when it's elevated. Get a much better hack at it when it's up in the zone as opposed to when he's throwing it at the knees.
Timing and sequencing has been a big thing for the whole pitching staff when it comes to talking to A.J. Coleman. Coaxes a walk to De La Cruz, his 15th of the year. That's a big reason why he has a .440 on base percentage early on in the season.
A valuable piece at the top of the lineup for them. And like I said earlier, if they can get some of those guys to drive in runs more proficiently in the middle, they're going to take off.
Coley Curry, .241 average thus far. Had a nice night at the plate quietly last night, a pair of singles. Let's move down to the 3-hole here today. We've seen a lot of lead-off or 2-hole for Curry, but with Luska at the top the last 3-4 games, kind of shifting everybody down a little bit. Jeremy Idle alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring you the call here tonight from Jimmy John's Field in Utica, Michigan. So glad you could tune in. 0-1 high chop to first. Off the glove of Haffey. Geely is there, and Coleman will cover.
3-4-1?
The routine 3-4-1, yeah.
That's sort of like that tip drill in football that you do sometimes before the game to get loosened up. That looked like an awkward base hit off the bat. It looked like one of those balls that was just going to bound into the outfield, but Haffey's a pretty big guy. If not Haffey over there, that ball probably just gets into the outfield, but he was able to tip it. Not that he did it on purpose, but he was able to tip it to Geely, and they made the play. And nice job by Coleman getting over there. Not every pitcher remembers to do that.
The original intent from Haffey probably to at least look to second base. Not sure he would have had a chance because he ranged so far off that first base bag. A pretty speedy runner in De La Cruz, who stands at second base with 2 outs now. One out to Barzell. Looks like pretty good location off the plate at 87. One and one here on Ashton Barzell. Same spot, maybe a little bit more in this time. Called for strike 2. Dominic Bethencourt would be next. Your Zach Hart agency man on deck here in the first. Nick Snyder to follow. 4, 5, 6 in the lineup here tonight for Jim Essien. Here's the 1-2 now. High chopper, and it's going to flatten out to Brandt. Through the glove of Haffey, and that's going to score a run. And now Barzell on his way to second base. He will get there.
That's frustrating for a pitcher like Coleman. He does what he does, which is get a ground ball. Looked like an easy inning-ending routine ground ball to a good shortstop, and he just threw it away. A little bit off of his back foot there. Didn't really set his feet. It wasn't a real well-hit ball, and I think he tried to hurry a little bit. In reality, he should have taken a little more time to set his feet, and if he beat it out, then at least you can live for the next hitter without a run scoring.
So a 2-base error that also causes a run here in the first, and A.J. Coleman has to be frustrated because he's gotten 2 ground balls outside of the 1-out walk here in the first. It looked like it might get him out of the inning.
And now it doesn't get any easier with Bethencourt and Snyder coming up.
Oh, and 1 on Bethencourt here. The pitch is outside at 80. So fastball, curveball, changeup. That looked like the changeup. That's the arsenal for A.J. Coleman. Throws the fastball the most, as most do. Curveball second most, changeup third most. Fastball outside at 87 once again there. Don't want to see Nick Snyder on deck. He's got a 4-game hitting streak and showed some pop last night. Ooh, off the leg of Coleman. Gets up and tosses it over to first. Looks like AJ is okay. Ouch. Right back at him, but he showed no signs of feeling sorry for himself there as he got right back at it and threw it over to first. Now time for Freaky Fast Trivia, brought to you by Jimmy John's. Here again, what do you call a group of unicorns? Is it a herd, a blessing, a family, or a team?
I don't think there's a true name for that because it's a fictional character. I'm going to go with a team. I think a group of unicorns has to be a team.
It's
really?
a blessing.
A blessing, okay.
I'm not sure where we got that from.
Who came up with this? Is there did Walt Disney come up with that?
Should we look it up?
I guess so, yeah. The only group of unicorns I've ever seen is the one that we're staring at right now. I call that a team. So sorry if I sound bitter. I like to get these answers correct.
That snaps. Oh, look at Google.
Okay. All right.
A group of unicorns is called a blessing. 12 or more cows are known as a flink.
Okay. Not sure why that is all part of the same explanation, but does it say who came up with this?
I don't know.
Okay.
USPBL.com/shop, your place to purchase your favorite team gear today. You can purchase a blessing of unicorn
t-shirts,
hats and T-shirts and sweatshirts and anything else you'd need to represent the team in purple.
Is it a herd of mammoths?
I don't know. We're going to have to look it up.
I should probably look up the rest of these just in case.
It's a gaggle of geese, isn't it?
Yes,
isn't that the term?
I believe so. I've never seen a group of beavers either, but I'm sure there's a name for that. Definitely never seen a herd of mammoths.
Well, you never forget that now. It's a question that snapped your winning streak on Jimmy John's Freaky Fast Trivia.
Maybe we can have a contest to see the first time that comes up in life where you can actually use that bit of knowledge. I'm going to try to figure out some way to work that into a conversation.
Only watching Harry Potter, maybe. First pitch to Alec Olin on the ground. Stretching out again is Blaze and has no shot to get Alec Olin, who'll camp in with a infield single, the first one against Miguel Cirino here.
Well, watching this group of unicorns can be a blessing at times. So maybe I'll refer to it that way more often.
He's pulling out all the stops here, folks. Just trying to make up for his missed question here. Cameron Comer batting .256. Now for Vaughn Joshua's team. We'll see this one right up high. We thought maybe we'd see this guy in the home run derby. We'll talk about that again a little bit later. And then as this broadcast progresses, Ross Haffey, who's your Zach Hart agency man on deck here in the second, is a part of that for the second straight year. Defending champion here in the USPBL.
I think Comer would have a decent run at that with his type of swing and his power.
Here's the 1-0. High and away. See, Reno with a heavy dose of fastballs in that first inning. He brought the slider out first to Joey Weimer. I think that was a good choice after Weimer nearly hit that one to oblivion.
Yes.
He wanted to at least. Just fouled it off. Swinging out of his shoes. 2-0 is popped up foul as Comer frustrated after he missed that 89-mile-per-hour changeup. Comer an average exit velocity of 88 off the bat. He doesn't have a lot of cheapies usually.
No.
2-1 fouled away.
He was really locked in there for a period of time.
3 doubles so far this year. A home run, 10 RBIs. I feel like it was one of those double headers as well, where he really produced.
It was.
For a while, double headers were Beaver time.
Yeah, Beaver territory.
They were sweeping them like none other. Certainly helped the record out early on in the season. Olin with a modest lead over at first to 2-2. Hodo, wicked hop, and that will cause Olin to go to third base. That's a tailor-made double play most of the time for Hodo and Blaze up the middle.
Yeah, baseball's such a funny game off the bat. You think you've got yourself a tailor-made double play, empty bases and 2 outs, and now you've got first, third, nobody out.
Get a second look on our YouTube monitor here, slightly behind the action. Got to give him a single, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a good pitch, too. It was down in the zone, got the ground ball that he wanted.
Hodo made the big-time play in the bottom of the 7th inning last night to save Nolan Clenny's day in the end. Would have been his first blown save. Whittled to the left. Cirino can't get it. Bethencourt barehands it. Got the only play he had, but we're tied as Olin scratches home plate here.
Like I just said, it's a strange game. You know, you give up a couple of ground balls and then a little soft chopper like that, and it's a run all of a sudden.
JJ was trying to take the ball from Cirino there. You see that?
He did. He didn't. I don't think Cirino played anywhere where a dog can potentially come out and try to take the ball from you. That's probably a new one for him.
Calms him down.
Sure.
Maybe. Here's the first pitch to Romero Harris. outside. I want to see a study on it. I want to see if I'm being sort of serious, because you talk about therapy dogs. I mean, you take, them around hospitals at time for people in different situations.
Are you saying that maybe you should be allowed to bring a golden retriever to the mound with you on a visit if a guy needs to be calmed down?
I mean, if it does it, yeah. You have interpreters come out once in a while when you have guys that can't.
That's true.
You see that in the major leagues?
Don't give anyone ideas.
2-0 here on Romero Harris. 6 for 41 start for this right-handed batter. They still think he can turn it around with the plate. Had a really good year in the California Winter League right before COVID happened. Von Joshua, Paul Nochi. Seeing a lot of ABs from him. Hit over 400 with some pop. Reminder, you can chime in with us on Facebook and YouTube. Blake Bullard saying, watching from home around the corner from the stadium. Let's get the W. Unicorns rooting for megahertz here today. Here's the 3-0. Didn't get the call there, and a 89-mile-per-hour changeup outside. Runners on first and second here with one out.
Well, not all of his own fault, but that pitch count's starting to climb now. I think we can forget about the fourth inning idea.
I was able to talk to Tim Montez, his college skipper at Ottawa University out in Arizona before the game here today. He says, I'm convinced that Miguel still has his best years in front of him. Very raw coming out of JUCO, and did a good job to kind of hone in some things while at Ottawa. There's a swing and a tapper, and if you're going to have any coach or former pitching guy in NCAA D1 try to hone you in, I think that's Tim Montez. I mean, he's coached the likes of Barry Zito, Michael Young, Daniel Murphy, Matt Garza, Doug Pfister, Cliff Lee, all at different stops along the D1 circuit.
Some pretty good arms in there.
Absolutely.
It's odd seeing it from anybody, a changeup at 86.
Coached at Jacksonville and Fresno State and Arkansas. He was coaching Spencer Stockton, a guy who pitched here in the USPBL at Jacksonville State, along with Shoemaker and Shanahan. So he has quite a bit of familiarity with some USPBL players. He said he really liked Shoemaker behind the plate. He said if it was his job to pencil in the lineup each game, he would have caught him every game. He just liked the way he settled down the pitchers, really knew the staff, good energy behind him. Thought he would make a really good coach. 2-1 is outside, and that's what we see in baseball, especially these days. So many catchers go on to be coaches and managers.
The tools of intelligence, as one of our former co-workers, Jim Price, would say.
There you go. Smartest players on the field.
Right. Well, you really do get involved with more aspects of the game as a catcher than really any other position does. You have to learn where everybody's going, when, why.
3-1 sneaks inside, and the pond is full of ducks here with only one out and a run already in the second.
You have to go over scouting reports as a catcher. You talk to the pitching coach. You talk to the hitting coach. It's really a more all-encompassing position than anywhere else on the field.
Essien gonna talk to C. Reno on the mound for the first time here tonight. $27 pitches now for Miguel through an inning and a third. Frankie Luska also gonna get a few words in. Talk to Jim Essien about Luska's performance yesterday at catcher. He said he's doing fine, catching the ball well, blocked a few, obviously missed a few in extra innings, but just kind of like we said, I mean, that's to be expected for a new catcher with runners in motion. I mean, this is a guy who really didn't catch all of college. I mean, a primary first baseman, played some outfield, and that's all he's really done here. But Taylor Jellikowski, the former Utica Unicorn, working with him quite a bit on the side to try to convert him to a catcher. That's off the glove of Luska, and coming home is Cameron Comer, and now it's 2-0 Beavers here in the second.
Yeah, I think if we were judging Luska as we would judge a veteran catcher, it would be different at this point, but all things considered, I think he's handling it fine so far. There's a little bit of trouble receiving there, but that will come. He saw 5 different pitchers yesterday, so it's really tough to have a good receiving day for anybody when you're seeing 5 different pitchers.
Your first day at catcher, here's 5 new pitchers you've never caught.
Right, exactly.
I'm sure he's caught some on the side, but in a game is a different story. Knowing all the signals. And not all of them had 3 pitches.
Right. I think that's Damon Ellis getting loose down there already.
They were projecting him to throw the 4th and the 5th in a ideal world / perfect scenario. 1-1 curveball. Fouled off of Luska that time. 1-2 on Jonathan Brandt, the bottom of the order. TJ Riles on deck here. He struck out the first time against C. Reno. All things considered, this is really only the second appearance in a competitive setting this year for Miguel. Pitched a game in his native country of Puerto Rico. 1-2 is up high at 92. So they weren't really sure what they would see here today. I mean, they know this guy's good, and they know they like him.
Yeah, there's plenty to like there.
Waiting in the 2-2 with runners on second and third here. Slider off the plate outside.
He's going to need to develop a little bit better command with some of these secondary pitches. But his fastball's certainly there.
Brandt waiting in the 3-2. Waits an extra beat. Here it comes, and Luska's taking a beating now. Or no, that was the home plate umpire.
Yeah, the umpire actually lost his mask. Is that Sal?
Looks like it.
Sal taking another beating.
Earning that paycheck every day, yeah?
Man.
Single by Olin to start this. That was on the infield. Then the single by Comer. They both come around to score. RBI ground up by Haffey, walk by Harris, and a walk by Ron Williams Jr. Those two both stand at second and third. Off the glove, and again we'll have the bases loaded. So Damon Ellis continues to warm here.
Probably getting to the point now where he's only got a batter or 2 left no matter what happens.
Second time around as well. Here comes TJ Riles. Struck out swinging back in the first. That was part of a 1-2-3 inning for C. Reno. Outside, ground out after the strikeout by Riles. 5th K of the year for TJ. Has 2 walks, 3 hits in total thus far. High and tight. Infield playing slightly in here. You have Curry at first, Hodo at second, Blaze at short, and Bethencourt at third. De La Cruz extremely in and to the right in center field.
I think the corners may come home with it. He's going to be pretty tough to turn a double play on.
That one in for strike 1. Freddie Geely would be next. There's Zach Hart, agency man on deck here in the second. 2-1. The Beavers have taken a lead off the run scored by Cameron Comer. 2-1, good swing to right. Bardzell right there to catch that one. They will test the waters as Harris comes home, and he will score on the sac fly.
Bardzell doing the right thing, throwing it into second base there. I think if he aired it out to home, then Bardzell would have gone to second base too.
So sac fly and an RBI for TJ Riles, and now Freddie Geely will try to extend things here with first and third. Well, that will be the end of the line for C. Reno here today. Damon Ellis will also make his USPBL debut here. So Ellis will get his shots in a tough spot, first and third, with 2 outs. You're on the USPBL network.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
Make your move with a quick and easy mortgage from Genesis Credit Union. We have mortgages to fit your life. Genesis Credit Union. Visit us today.
Well, there's Damon Ellis making his USPBL debut with 2 outs. Here in the second inning, he's your Hoffman Dental pitching change here today. Kind of floated around in his collegiate career, Eastern Michigan, Cleary University, and Howell here in Michigan. Was his last stop. So we'll see him for the first time here tonight. Another tryout guy last week.
Looks like a good arm, a little bit of a short arm action. Similar to maybe like a Justin Revels has sort of a similar type arm action.
Revels has had a pretty good go-around so far this year.
He has. That type of guy sometimes can have a fastball that gets on you a little bit quicker. It's maybe a little bit tougher to see.
So Geely trying to snap his 0 for 1. Looks at a ball down low. 3-1 in favor of the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers here today. And for a team that's sat on the pine for quite some time, it's probably good for them to see some runs scratch across. This one going to scoot into right field. And Ron Williams Jr. going to score as well. Jonathan Brandt to second base. They're just playing station-to-station baseball right now. We'll bat around here in the second as Joey Weimer comes around.
Make contact, a lot of good things will happen, and that's how it's been going for the Beavers this inning.
Alec Olin started this party in the second with a single. Single, RBI ground out, walk, sac fly RBI, and a single. The line against these Unicorns pitchers here today. 1-0 on Weimer. Third baseman Bethencourt playing in tight to the line. He's been that way most of the inning thus far. Rocket for an arm down at third base for the Corns. The 1-0 is up top at 91. A lot of you getting in your score predictions for that Mr. Muffler coupon. 2-0 piped in. Curveball for strike 1.
Looked like kind of a 12-6 type break there over the top. Breaks down pretty hard.
Another one. Got Bethencourt, who slides to first base for the third out of the inning.
Taylor-made 5-3 double play, just right on top of the bag.
Now time for your DTE Energy Kids Race the Mascot here today. Buzz gonna get another chance against our young man Sam here today.
All right. Buzz has been up and down. As I mentioned, I think Ribby's the best of the mascots. I think Woolie's traditionally been the slowest. Buzz kind of in the middle. We'll see what he gives us today. If he gets a head start, that helps.
Buzz nearly to second base, and Sam on the backside here.
Buzz did miss the bag there. I don't know if we could have an appeal potentially.
Oh, Buzz has got a good start here. Sam trying to come around the corner. Going to have to turn on the Jets. He does, and
Buzz got,
he's going to coast maybe. Buzz coming from behind, though, and Sam.
Buzz got tired.
Is able to take our kid race the mascot. Brought to you by DTE Energy once again here tonight. A 3-1 lead for the Beavers. A.J. Coleman back out there when we come back here on the USPBL Network.
DTE Energy customers can get their share of huge lifetime energy cost savings. How? By using our website. The Oslin's new programmable thermostat saved them a bundle. And their new efficient furnace earned them a hefty rebate. All over Michigan, people like the Oslins are saving. Why not you? There are always new ways to save at dteenergy.com/saveenergy. DTE Energy.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Jeremy Otto alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring the call here tonight. It's a whole new ball game at your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Right now, you can lease an all-new 2020 Chevy Equinox LT Forward for just $261 a month for 36 months. Again, just $261 a month for 36 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. Visit ChevyDetroit.com. Tom Terrific on YouTube says, haha, Buzz took a dive. The fix was in.
It's possible. I don't know. It's tough to tell if he was actually tired or if he was just, throwing in the towel like he said.
So A.J. Coleman out there for his second inning of work. It was a 9-batter second inning for this Beavers offense, and Coleman now has a 3-1 lead to work with, and going up against Ty Hensley a lot, he has to relish that here today. Oh boy, that's one of those spinners.
Yep. Yeah, Coleman's not used to pitching with a lead, that's for sure.
Haffey trying to coax it fair, but it did remain foul. Little cue ball shot from Nick Snyder. It's a guy who has a 4-game hitting streak, 5 for his last 8 in that stretch. 4 runs scored, 3 RBIs, and a double, along with a home run. Tagged that home run pretty well last night. 0-2 away at 87. First inning against A.J. Coleman. Had a 2-out walk to De La Cruz. Then the uncharacteristic 3-4-1, fielder's choice. Curry out at first. The error on the batted ball by Ashton Bardzell allowed him to reach and score the run in the end as it escaped Haffey over at first. There's the first strikeout of the evening for A.J. Coleman.
Well-located pitch there. Kind of started it on the outside corner, and it broke sharply away from Snyder.
It's now 9 walks to 24 Ks on the year for A.J. 27 innings of work. First pitch fastball at 87 to Malik Blaze. Talked to Jim Essian about Malik earlier here today. And yes, he's scuffling kind of on both sides of the ball. His defense has picked back up a little bit in the last couple days. The 0-1 is popped foul. He says, though, there's so much potential talent, certainly in this glove, it's just hard to take this guy out of the lineup right now. They just want to let him work through it.
They could take him out if they wanted to. They've got a little bit of infield depth, certainly, that they could make that move if they chose to sit him down once in a while. But he does have those abilities at shortstop. It's easy to leave him in there.
0-2 on Blaze, batting 140 through 50 at-bats thus far. There's some solid contact. Geely is going to play it on the backside, though, for out number 2. You were mystified by a play Geely made pregame, weren't you?
I was very mystified. And there goes JJ again, right past the pitcher's mouth. Coleman's like, get out of here, dog. Yes, so the Geely broke. He was playing shortstop, actually, at the time before the game, getting some ground balls in, and he broke hard to his left on a ball and caught it and went behind his back with his glove with a perfect feed to second base. So never touched it with his bare hand, just went behind the back, scooping the ball with his glove. Perfect feed.
You do that every day, right, before you come to work?
I can't say I've ever even tried such a thing like that, let alone do it successfully. I can't imagine he would do it in a game just because of how it would look if it was unsuccessful, but it sure would be cool to see in a game.
0-1 here on Derek Hurt. In there for strike two. Good job by Coleman to pin the zone. He looks focused to try to coax him 1-2-3 here in the second inning. John Hodo, your Zach Hart agency man on deck. He's the bottom of the order here tonight.
This would be a big shutdown inning here for Coleman if he can get it.
2-0. In there for strike three. Pulled the string at 79. Got him on the slider there. Second strikeout of the inning and the game here for A.J. Coleman here on the USPBL Network.
At Priority Health, we're embarking on a new normal, embracing the changes needed to keep Michigan safe. While that may look a little different for everyone, Priority Health is here to help. With access to the care you need, the doctors you want, and the quality coverage you can afford. So you can get back to this, and this, safely, steadily, and with the smartest health coverage possible.
They called it the 1,000-year flood. They were having homes and businesses flooded, and the roads were being washed out.
My entire house is going to be flooded. Okay, do you have a second story?
A lot of fear that we were going to lose a lot of people. When we heard the police station was flooded, we immediately gave them our command center to operate out of.
BELFOR was our savior. Sheldon and his team restored 25 of our businesses and more than 1,500 residences.
At BELFOR, we're restoring more than property.
We joined GreenPath and instantly felt a support around us.
They developed a plan on paper, and this is how we're going to do it.
The plan that they gave me was something that was sustainable. It was something I could do. It was actually lowering my payments monthly by hundreds of dollars.
Choosing GreenPath is a no-brainer.
Damon Ellis on for his second inning of work. Came in for Miguel Sereno in the second. After a quick 1-2-3 first, they got to Sereno. Just a kind of station-to-station approach. Some singles, some walks. And that's why this Beavers squad has a 3-1 lead. And it all started with this man with his infield single. I mean, if it wasn't for the range of plays, that one's easily into left, so it's not like it didn't have a lot behind it.
True.
First pitch curveball in for strike one, and Alec Olin also came around to score along with Cameron Comer, Romero Harris, and Ron Williams Jr. 4-1 the lead, I beg your pardon. Austin Dakar tuning up in the pen. He was not in the original plan for Jim Estienne here tonight. He was hoping to go Sereno 1-3 on the innings, and Ellis 4-5, and Comita 6, and Goodson 7 in the ideal world. But more often than not, anytime you have a plan like that, it doesn't work out. It's just how it is.
Right. It's not always how you draw it up.
That's Comitas talking some arm path, it looks like, with somebody down there in the pen. Bethencourt. It wasn't for that arm. There's no way he gets him over at first.
That's a nice play, and that's a good base runner getting up the line, too. Olin moves pretty good.
So 1 up and 1 down for Damon Ellis. A sigh of relief for Jim Estienne. I'm sure he would love to see him get through this third inning. And if the pitch count is in order, maybe throw another one, because he's, already scheduled to pitch 2 here tonight. 5 pitches in that first inning for Damon. Comer looks at a first pitch curveball for strike one.
When you look at that roster for tomorrow's All-Star game, too, besides Dakar, the rest of the guys in that Unicorn's pen are also on the roster tomorrow, so probably would prefer to not overuse them tonight.
Have you heard if we're playing 7 or 9 tomorrow?
I have not. That's a good question. It didn't occur to me to to ask. I'm getting so used to these 7-inning games now.
That's how it's been since the start of the season. Really a effort to, reduce some of the contact, less innings, reduce the amount of players needed, because that was certainly something that stuck out. But we are going to start to see these rosters settle in. Taxi squad probably going to be around until the end of August, and then by September, as we've talked about, that's going to go away, and these guys are going to settle in, and no more will you see kind of the two-man bench. I mean, because the rosters have to be set, you're going to see 3 or 4 probably at a minimum.
I'm looking forward to that. I think when rosters are set, it just becomes a more competitive situation. You see, different personalities develop between each of the teams. They start to get their own feel.
Bender in there for strike 3. Heavy dose of off speed to Cameron Comer, and that's out number 2 already here in the 3rd inning.
I kind of like what I see from Ellis so far.
Mixes his pitches well.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good arm, that sort of a short arm motion. His curve has kind of a tight break, 12-6.
There's another one on the interior, and Haffey just popping that up to the outfield. De La Cruz running a long way, and he will collect out number 3. 1-2-3 breeze for Damon Ellis. That's got to feel good for the Unicorns after giving up a 4 spot in the 2nd. Now time for JJ the Field General, presented by Michigan First Credit Union here tonight. JJ has been wandering around the middle of the field, trying to get some of those baseballs away from the pitchers here today, but he's gonna help out the base pass umpire with some water here. Yeah,
he wants to diversify his list of jobs here at the ballpark. I think he's getting tired of doing bats all the time. He wants to mix in the baseball once in a while. Maybe we can put him on the rosin. I don't know. The rosin bag might be asking for trouble.
Slimy rosin bag, yeah.
I think that defeats the purpose of the rosin bag. I'm trying to think of some other jobs we could give him, maybe.
I mean, he'd be interacting with fans if they were here more often.
Right.
Reminder, you can chime in on Facebook and YouTube on the chat section. Any questions or comments on the broadcast? Blake Bollert says Scotland's national animal is the unicorn. Maybe the Scots came up with the term. Is that true? Or is he messing with us?
How can your national animal be something that's fictional? I know Blake, so if I run into him sometime soon, maybe I'll ask him about that.
Reliant Baseball on Facebook says, great looking, well called, and well played game. Keep up the good work at USPBL. We thank them for watching here today. Steven Natushko says Magic Man Hodo will do his thing at second base, hit the ball to him, and watch the magic.
He does do his thing.
Tara Hodo says, I agree, Magic Man.
Is that an official nickname?
I don't know.
Magic Man?
We stealing that from Pavel Datsyuk here?
I miss watching him a little bit, speaking of Pavel Datsyuk.
He was fun.
He was.
Good guy. I think he's still playing.
Yeah, his home
in Russia.
Yep. Had a daughter, I believe, back there, and that was part of the appeal to go home, I think.
It's understanding. I mean, it's one thing to be in professional sports, and have a family and not see them a lot, but you're pretty much never seeing them in an NHL hockey season, when you're, maybe All-Star break, but he was in that, most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know how often you can get overseas like that.
This one line to center. Nice start to this inning again for the Unicorns offense.
And the Magic Man with a base hit, too.
There you go. Fun guy to talk to. We talked to him yesterday on the United Shore media desk. He was our player of the game for that line drive up the middle. Nick Snyder was also kind of co-player of the game. I said, hey, Katie, let's interview Nick, but then, the play that really saved the game was Hodo.
Right.
Ranging off the bag a little bit too far there, as Coleman says, not too fast.
You don't get a chance to save too many games defensively, really. How often does the last play come down to a great defensive play? It's not really that often.
Luska 0 for 1 today with a ground out. It's kind of fitting that Taylor Jellikowski is trying to teach him catching, because Taylor was a guy who didn't catch in college at all either. He did in high school. But that's one reason that lifted him to the Minnesota organization here out of the USPBL.
Sure. Well, if, Frankie was trying to be a first baseman or even a corner outfielder, it's just those prospects are, to some degree, a dime a dozen. In some ways, it's very tough to differentiate yourself as a left fielder or a first baseman. You've really got to perform just tremendously from an offensive standpoint to be noticed.
And those are often your draft picks.
Oh, yeah.
Runner in motion to second base. Hodo trying to swipe a bag. Out of there as Brand is able to slap the tag on the bag. Nice throw from Comer and a good exchange by Brandt as well.
Yeah, that took a perfect throw pretty much. Not a bad jump by Hodo and a good slide, but it was just a perfect throw right on top of the bag. And Comer's about as polished as we see in the league right now behind the plate.
Justin Orenduff confirms that it's a 7-inning game tomorrow in the All-Star game.
There we go. Figured that, but you never know.
It will be interesting to see if all the Unicorns do pitch. I think it probably depends on what happens here tonight.
Yes.
Because a lot of those guys have already seen action. They're purposely pushing Ty Hensley to tomorrow in terms of not starting in his regular rotation spot here.
Be interesting to see when he throws again after that, because he probably won't go more than a couple in the All-Star game, you wouldn't think. Try to get different guys in usually.
The Unicorns do not play again this week, so that will certainly push them. Maybe the first starter next week?
Could be, yep.
Solid swing by Luska there as that's golfed to the gap, and behind it is Romero Harris. Luska off to the races to the second base bag, and he has a stand-up double with one out here in the third inning.
I think if he decided to push it out of the box, he might have had a shot at 3 there, but I think coming out of the box, I think he thought that Harris was going to get to that ball, and it wasn't Harris's best route there. I know he hasn't played right field a whole lot. That could be part of it. I think if he pursued that ball a little bit deeper, he would have cut it off in time.
Off the bat at 94.5. Adam De La Cruz had a walk back in the first inning, as this one is in for strike one at 74. Pretty fastball heavy for A.J. Coleman here tonight. The curveball. Fastball, curveball, changeup. That sink to the two-seam grip on the fastball. Gets a lot of contact out. Does not get a lot of swing and misses on the fastball. Gets one here on the changeup for strike 2.
And that last double's an example of why a lot of baseball people these days don't really like the stolen base. Hodo gets thrown out there. Someone who runs as well as him, it's possible he could have scored on that ball from first base, or even if not, we would have second, third, and nobody out. Now it's really a different situation, especially when you're down 3 runs.
Here's a 0-2 outside 89-mile-per-hour fastball there from Coleman. His average is pretty tight in terms of what his fastball range is, 86 to 88 so far this season. I think the official range is 88.5. But either way, he's a guy at parts of his career that has gotten up to 91. Geely leaves it for Romero Harris, and Luska, for good reason, is staying right where he is. 2 down, and Coley Curry will try to get some 2-out magic brewing for the Unicorns.
Produced that great 3-4-1 his last time up.
Tom Terrific on YouTube says Hodo kind of reminds me of Willie Mays Hayes from Major League.
I like that.
Jordan Fox says Hodo for president.
I think Willie Mays Hayes was a right-handed hitter, though. Of course, in Major League 2, he bulked up as well.
True. This one in for strike one. Do you have a favorite Major League player in the movie?
In the movie, yeah. Oh, geez. I guess I like Jake Taylor, you know, which is probably not a huge shock. You know, sort of the team captain catcher type. That's sort of my thing.
Here's the 0-1 on Curry. Coleman paying a lot of attention at second base. This one whittled foul at 76. It's been a long time for me. I got to watch that thing again. My dad used to watch it all the time.
Yeah, it's what a great movie. I think the MVP of the movie, honestly, though, is Bob Uecker.
Sure.
In my mind, which I'm sure you can appreciate as much as anyone.
I was listening to Bob on the way home a little bit last night on
still doing the Brewers games, huh?
Yep. Been a lot of years. It might be 50 years there. 0-2 still on Curry as he fouls another one off here.
Did you ever watch any of his other work, like Mr. Belvedere or WrestleMania 3 or 4? He made his way to a lot of different things in pop culture.
I have not. I mean, I've certainly seen a few clips from WrestleMania.
They say that the guys that are really into pro wrestling say that for celebrity guests, he probably understood the concept as well as anyone ever did. Just he got what his job was there. He just understood it.
Makes sense. I mean, for a guy who is used to kind of going off the cuff, and then you add the theater type thing to it with you know what he did in Major Leagues. I'm not sure how much was scripted in Major League. That'd be interested to find out.
Sure. Humor, certainly. There's a terrific clip of him interviewing Andre the Giant. I think it was from WrestleMania 4, where Andre puts his hands around Uecker's neck, and the expression on Uecker's face while he's getting choked is just priceless. Incredible stuff. And he would banter really well with Jesse the Body Ventura, too. Just a couple of really talented performers there.
Get up, get up. That's his home run call.
Right.
2-2 on Curry.
I like that picture you have of him as a player there. He looks pretty much the same.
1962 it says here.
He had kind of a...
That's what people forget, though. He did play. Milwaukee, St. Louis, Philadelphia, Braves.
Well, he pokes a lot of fun at himself as a player, though.
2-2 is whittled off foul. A career average of 200. Hit 14 bombs. 74 RBIs. Brewers broadcaster since 1971. That's something, though, about baseball in general. These voices. I mean, you look at Ernie Harwell, Vin Scully. They're as much as the team as some of these players are.
Well, I saw a T-shirt the other day. Just speaking of Vin Scully, it was basically a Mount Rushmore type shirt of the Dodgers, and he was part of it with Jackie Robinson, and it's escaping me who else was on it, but might have been Duke Snyder. I can't remember exactly who was on it, but he was, long story short, he's considered a core top 4 personality of the Dodgers organization.
Press box named after him at Dodger Stadium. I was able to check out Dodger Stadium for the first time in December, just before everything happened with COVID.
I'd like to see that. That's one of the ones I haven't seen that I would like to.
And they got a lot of renovations now.
That's what I heard. They were getting ready for the All-Star game this year, which I know they're putting a lot of work into it for the All-Star game. Of course, they've hosted the World Series several times recently.
2-2. Got under that one, chasing Harris back to the warning track, and is about as far as you can go on a pop-out for an out, is squeezed by Romero in right. So they get a couple runners on, one tagged out at second base. That would have probably driven in Hodo in the end, but Luska is the only man to show here in inning number 3 on the US PBL Network.
Looking for a great rate on a new vehicle? Introducing our credit union's Drive promotion with rates as low as 1.89% and no payments for 90 days. Or refinance and save on your current auto loan with our 1% lower guarantee. You can now get pre-approved and close a loan remotely with our convenient online application process. Stop in today or visit ourcuonline.org/drive to drive away happy.
They call me Prospects. Since the day I was born as a diver's watch, the challengers of the world have taught me many things. Life is not a numbers game. It's about challenging ourselves. No matter what happens, just follow your heart. These pioneers drive our generation forward, not by setting records, but by never giving up. Keep going forward. Prospects.
Available at Lucido Fine Jewelry.
To Hoffman Dental pitching change, Austin Dakar on the mound here for the Utica Unicorns. Ninth appearance for him this year. 10 innings thus far. 10 walks to 13 Ks. A lot of redesigning with this right-handed arm, and you kind of see him work through things throughout this season. They even gave him about a week's worth of break just to, kind of settle down mentally and digest some of those changes that they've been making. They just kind of want him to go out there and pitch at this point, and that's what we've seen from a number of these guys in terms of their tweaks. Sometimes it does filter in the games a little bit too much, but they think there's still a lot left in this right-handed arm, and they want to continue to analyze what he needs to do to, get back to the level where he was drafted ultimately by New York.
Yeah, for me, his breaking ball is there. I think that's sort of his plus pitch right now. I think that's pretty much there from both an action standpoint and a command standpoint. I think his fastball is just lacking some of the velocity that they'd like to see right now, and his splitter seems to be something that he doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in right now. He just doesn't throw it very often. I don't think he believes in his ability to command it all the time right now, but there's some things to work through there. Obviously a lot of ability and a guy who's got a really high ceiling potentially. So we're certainly rooting for him to put it together.
47% four-seam fastball, 49% curveball, and then just 3% on the splitter. The fastball has gotten up to 93 this year, kind of ranges 88 to 92. Romero Harris back in that big 9-batter second inning, walked and came around to score. Olin, Comer, Harris, and Ron Williams Jr. making the difference in the column so far here today. First pitch fastball in for strike one. Liner over the glove of Hodo into right field. I'm curious for people watching at home, when we've talked about the effect that announcers can have on a fan base. We have a pretty wide audience. I mean, a lot of California. I'm sure some Arizona here today with Cirino making his debut. Certainly a lot of Michigan, but there's people all over watching. So who's your favorite Major League broadcaster, whether that be in the past with a guy like Ernie Harwell or Vince Scully, or people currently in the major leagues?
Do you have a favorite? You're the professional play-by-play man here.
Well, I certainly grew up listening to Dan Dickerson.
Sure.
And, he was somebody I certainly idolized, and it was pretty cool to get to work with him for a full baseball season.
I bet.
Here's the 1-0, runner in motion to second base. Lost a good exchange down to second, but threw it a little bit too short. Get to more on that in a second, but what'd you see on that?
That really wasn't bad. It was a little bit short, but and Malik Blaze ended up coming up to catch it. And the reason he stepped up to catch it was because Harris just had the bag stolen. I think if that could have been a closer play, Blaze could have sat back and got it on the one hop, and they would have had a chance to get him. It's just that base was stolen on Dakar, in my opinion.
I really like Gary Thorne as an announcer overall. He does some Orioles games, kind of winding down in his career, but used to be the big-time hockey guy on ESPN for a long time. So he's, I think, really good.
Sure.
Dave Fleming, pretty good out in San Francisco. John Miller, a guy who used to do some national games on Sunday Night Baseball. I think he's great as well.
Do you think radio is tougher than TV in baseball?
It depends. I think certainly from a standpoint of what you have to describe, I think the best broadcasters will describe everything going on. So the bat waggle and the guy's stance, you know, the breeze that's ripping out to right field, the shadows that...
It's like a storyteller.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I mean, that's...
On the radio, you really need that because you can't see it.
I think it's the best sport on radio in terms of, you know, what can... that mental picture that you can...
By far, I think.
And it's one that's certainly considered as when you can kind of fade in and out, you know, in the car, out in the backyard.
Yeah, at the beach, whatever. I think it's,
Yeah.
you know, the other sports in my mind, having them on the radio, it's sort of like you listen to it if it's the only thing you can do. You know, I'm not going to listen to a football game on the radio unless I have to be in the car for some reason. You know, if I care about that football game, I want to watch it on TV. Hockey seems awfully hard to describe on the radio. That's one of those games that being there in person.
Boom, 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 back and forth.
I think hockey's a wonderful sport in person. I think even on TV, I think it's somewhat lacking, and on the radio, it's really hard.
That was one of my favorites to do in high school. I really haven't done anything consistently with hockey in a while, but it's a fun one to cover and call and watch, certainly.
Sure.
Runners on first and second to start this fourth inning. 4-1 lead for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers here as Brandt lifts that out of play. Any favorite announcers on your end?
You know, well, I certainly lean toward Ernie Harwell, you know, just growing up with that. And, you know, as an 80s child, I had the little radio in my room that I would fall asleep with it on, listening to Ernie do games, you know, especially if the Tigers were on the West Coast or something like that. So that certainly has a special place in my heart, and happy to get to know him a little bit during my time working there. And just a wonderful, wonderful man who never disappointed anybody. He was just as wonderful as you would expect. But I must say, you know, growing up, probably several generations probably feel this way, but growing up during a time when there wasn't quite as many games on TV, Vin Scully always seemed like a really special voice to hear because he was always calling those playoff and World Series games on TV. So it's almost like I connect Vin Scully's voice with something being really important or being a really big game. And it's such a recognizable and unique voice. Honestly, I didn't even know he did the Dodgers games until I was probably in my 20s. You know, I thought he was just a guy who was in charge of doing big games on NBC, you know, just a really important announcer in my mind as a kid.
You see a lot of guys do that. Certainly in baseball, they'll have one gig and then work the national gig as well.
Right.
2-2. Hot shot to left field. That's into the diving glove of Hurt in left field. Wow, he stole a double and at least one run away from the Beavers here in the fourth.
The ball ended up on the ground. I guess they said he dropped it on the exchange, but either way, he got to his feet quickly and threw it in. But terrific. He's kind of clutching his chest there a little bit. Looks like he landed pretty hard. You see where the ball is there. I don't know. It's tough to tell on the replay if he had the ball long enough or not. But either way, he got it in quick, and the runners would have had to move up. He was going to get an out either way there. It really doesn't matter, honestly.
Well, Derek Hurt making an impact with the bat lately. Has certainly had his fair share of plays in the outfield as well. First and second with one out here, and Luska gets a piece of that one. What is the key for a new catcher and blocking? Because you obviously want to get in front of everything, but there's just not any way where you can cleanly block everything, right?
No, you can't. You kind of have to know when to go down into your proper blocking stance, so to speak, or otherwise when swiping your glove at it and trying to catch it is sort of your last ditch effort. And that's something that just comes with feel over time. For someone like Frankie's just not going to have that for a while. Ideally, you're working with a pitcher who's going to keep everything somewhat around the plate where you can block it.
Hodo to second. Blaze, what a combo.
That's a really nice exchange.
4-6-3 to end the threat here for Dakar. He thanks his defense. Really nice diving play by Hurt and left for the first down. Then a 4-6-3 with ease here on the USPBL Network.
We like to do it before we go out on the weekend.
We do.
We do it every week.
Whether we need to or not.
We did it today.
It was really dirty.
My parents do it every day.
Hey, kiddo!
Do it every day with the Unlimited Club only at Jack's Car Wash. Protect your car from the hot summer sun, dust, dirt, and contaminants all summer long with the Jack's Unlimited Club. Join today, starting at just $21.99 a month.
Well, your reading program, School of the Game, sponsored by CGC Water and Hungry Howie's here today. It's Webb Elementary in the Hazel Park School District. The Vikings out there. Teacher Spotlight, Miss Tompkins. So we thank Miss Tompkins for everything she does for our youth. And Webb Elementary probably facing all their protocols, just like every school is these days.
Trying to figure it out, I'm sure. Hazel Park Vikings, huh? I didn't know that one.
Yep. Had a pretty good basketball team.
Yep.
In recent memory.
I played one high school football game there.
Did you?
As I recall, and I remember seeing the racetrack nearby. Hazel Park racetrack.
Yeah. Now closed.
Yeah.
Hazel Park racetrack. I believe the one in Northville Downs is also closed now, too.
I think so. Racing is a sport that's really become all about the, of course it was always about gambling, but now it's really all about like smartphone gambling, you know, and more of the apps and everything. You can really bet any race anywhere. It's not as necessary to go to the tracks now, I don't think, for people.
Check the comments on YouTube and Facebook. Tom Terrific says Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow in San Francisco are excellent on TV and radio. Yeah, I've seen that. Dwayne have a really good rapport.
Dwayne Kuiper as a player, I think, was famous for going the longest amount of time without hitting a home run.
Really?
At one time, yeah, a certain amount of at-bats without hitting a home run.
Ernie Harwell is my favorite baseball announcer. Got to meet him, says Aaron Rao on Facebook.
Definitely.
Ashton Bardzell, Dominic Bethencourt, and Nick Snyder, your Zach Hart Agency men on deck here in the fourth inning. Strike one to Bardzell. Something interesting, which is a rarity these days, but because of the Los Angeles weather, it certainly impacts it, I'm sure. This one outside. Every booth in the Dodgers press box is open-faced.
Really?
So there is absolutely no, not even the garage door.
Really?
Like that you see some places on press row. I think there's garage doors for the radio and TV booths, but swing and a miss, a pitch at 85.
Must be nice to have such an option.
Really, yeah. In a state where you have to pray that you get in your scheduled games at all.
I think Dodger Stadium's the third oldest ballpark now after Fenway and Wrigley.
1-2 is off the plate outside. So they definitely have their old field look, you know, with parts of the stadium, and they've updated that since. They've done some work to the bleacher seats in the outfield, but it reminds me a little bit of kind of Little Caesars Arena on the inside, in that, you know, they have the updated suites. Yeah, the updated suites and that too, straight up and down kind of nature of the seatings, but also some of the clubs that you see,
right?
You know, kind of behind the scenes at Little Caesars Arena. They have that kind of right behind home plate.
Well, there's plenty of that high-end money in the greater Los Angeles area.
3-2 is outside. Yeah, they sell out most games, but it's not cheap to go to one of those games for sure.
Well, pretty good team. They give their team a pretty good product there lately.
Tom says Kuiper had one career home run, and he hit it off Steve Stone.
Yeah, Steve Stone. I remember Steve Stone talking about that. He actually blames Steve Stone. It's coming back to me now. Steve Stone blames something to do with the pregame situation that day. He said he wasn't loose. I can't remember exactly, but it was a first inning home run, I think, or a second inning home run, and he claims he wasn't loose. He blames it on that.
Steve Stone, the color analyst on TV for the Chicago White Sox. As this one rides outside 1-0.
Was he with the Cubs at one time?
Playing-wise or broadcast-wise?
No, broadcast-wise.
I'm not sure on that one. He could have been.
Who was with Harry for a lot of those years? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Harry Carey and Steve Stone, did they team up at one time?
It could have been.
I thought they did.
Try to do some research here. Digging deep into
I could be wrong.
Broadcaster stuff here. You're right. teaming with Harry Carey for 14 years.
Oh, okay.
Bethencourt in for strike one.
In my childhood, you couldn't just watch any team on any day. You know, the Cubs were one of the most easy to watch teams because of WGN and the Braves with TBS. A lot of people knew a lot about the Cubs and the Braves as a result.
1-1 golfed into left field by Bethencourt. Breaks his 0 for 5 the last couple nights here. Had a 1-3 ground out back in the first inning, and first and second for this Unicorns offense to start the fourth inning. And Steve Stone now paired with Jason Benetti, really talented play-by-play announcer for college basketball and baseball. Ever heard him? He does a really nice job.
I don't think I have.
Good energy. Nice guy, too. Nick Snyder trying to extend this 4-game hitting streak. 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the second. That was part of a 1-2-3 inning for A.J. Coleman. On the ground foul to Alec Olin over at third base here. 4-1 Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers off 4 hits and 1 error. 1 run off 3 hits and no errors on the other end for the Unicorns. Really good job by the defense for Jim Essien's squad to work them out of a potentially troubling inning here in the fourth. Leadoff single, then the walk, but the line out to left and the 4-6-3 double play turned things right back in Austin Dakar's favor. 0-1 is outside. We don't see any action in the Unicorns' pen at this moment. There is also none in the Beavers' pen. Kamita should be next in line, but maybe they'll try to pitch Dakar's second inning. Coleman readying the 1-1. Here it comes. Curveball in for strike 2. Fastball, curveball, changeup for A.J. Coleman. And you talk about baseball on the radio, I think that's something that will never fade. And people say, oh, radio's going away.
Well, maybe over-the-air radio, I don't know, maybe that'll potentially go away someday, but there's still going to be satellite or some form of audio, you would think. How you receive it could change.
That bit Cameron Comer, and he's trying to shake it off right now. I think still some form of over-the-air radio will exist, because think about it. You're going to want to hook up your phone to your car every time to try to listen to something?
I hope it does. I hope it stays. Yeah, Comer.
Bad spot.
Yeah, he got that in a bad spot, I think.
The bad spot as we take a look at our YouTube monitor here. How many times you get one of those?
Not many, thank God. I guess I was just lucky. I think that's all it is, really, is luck.
Waiting in the 1-2 to Snyder here. Swing and a miss. Nice curveball to get his third K of the evening here.
That's a big K for him right there. Dangerous hitter up. You got 2 guys on, nobody out. Help yourself out with a strikeout there. It's a big pitch.
So first and second with 1 gone, and Malik Blaze will step to the dish here. 4-3 ground out. His last time out. You know, Harry Carey's grandson, Chip Carey, is still a Major League broadcaster. He took over for Harry after Harry passed away.
The son was a broadcaster also, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Skip and Chip? Skip was one of the sons.
Actually, is it his son, not his grandson? Maybe it is his son.
There's a grandson also that's in the business, but I can't remember which one is Skip and which one is Chip.
So Chip is the current broadcaster for the Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
Here's a 0-1 to Blaze. That's in for strike 2. Chip is the grandson, it looks like.
I don't recall a game or two where all three of them were in the booth together. It might have just been a special occasion or something.
That one outside. Looks like Skip has passed away.
Oh, is that right?
August 3rd, 2008.
Okay, I didn't recall that.
And he is the son, you're correct, of Harry Carey.
Before his time, I assume, passed away.
Braves and NBC Sports looks like his primary role. 1-2, fouled back. Jeremy Otto alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. here. Dan trying to become the next Steve Stone. Jim Price. Bardzell at second base, Bethencourt at first. Snyder the only out here in the fourth inning via the K, swinging. These middle innings starting to drag on all of a sudden for these pitchers. Here's the 1-2 outside. 71 pitches thrown so far for A.J. Coleman. His high was in his last starts back on August 5th. 89 pitches versus the Mammoths.
He was in pretty good control that day.
6 innings, 5 hits given up. Just 1 run it was earned. 2 walks to 4 strikeouts. And we've seen that really throughout this season, Dan, in terms of these pitchers having a rough outing, then working on it with the staff and turning it around the very next start.
Yep, we have. It says a lot about them having that ability to work on something, learn from it, and then put it into action.
A lot of room in right center field here for Blaze if he can go that direction. You see Harris playing well to the line, and he does spray it that way. Wow. Harris
got turned
whirled around a couple times. He is able to make the catch for out number 2. Advancing is Ashton Bardzell, probably because Harris was dizzy.
Yeah, he got turned around there. It showed that defensive back type ability to reset himself and drop back in the other direction, make the play.
Derek Hurt gets his second AB here. Strikeout looking back in the second inning. Hurt with a nice diving play to really set the tempo for the defense for the Unicorns in the top half of this inning. Quick feed over to first. Second pickoff attempt here by A.J. Coleman here tonight. This inning brought to you by Dunham Sports and Campground Pediatrics and Wellness, your presenting sponsor here this evening. They're the usual sponsor of the sticker book. So for kids who come to the game, you get your sticker, you get all 4 teams, and can get some, or stamp book, I beg your pardon, get a free ticket, right, Dan?
Yeah, that's sort of harkens back to another era, I think, to some degree. Stamp books were a big thing, well, before either of our time, really, but sort of a fun thing to bring back to the old ballpark here.
Hope to bring that back as soon as we can. Here's a 0-1. On the ground to Oland. Ranges off, takes his time, and able to nip Derek Hurt over at first base. Leadoff walk, single. Runners on first and third. He's able to strand him with the strikeout, the fly out, and the ground out. More when we get back here on the USPBL Network.
As we continue to respond to COVID-19 in our communities, Ascension Michigan is with you in this, and we are doing what matters to keep you safe in our care. At our hospitals and sites of care across the state, Ascension Michigan has additional safeguards in place. We are limiting visitors, ensuring proper social distancing in our waiting rooms, offering more online visits, and performing rigorous procedures to clean and disinfect. Our care teams are delivering babies and performing surgery. Now more than ever, it's important not to delay your health care. Schedule your appointments. Make sure children are getting their vaccinations. And if you have an emergency, don't wait. Go straight to your closest Ascension ER. Thank you for continuing to protect yourself and our community by washing your hands, wearing a face covering, and social distancing. Our doctors, nurses, and staff are ready for you when you need us. This is what we do best.
Right, up here and look around the Thank you so much.
Give it.
There's Bobby Caminas. Hoffman Dental pitching change for the Unicorns here. He's the third arm used for Jim Essien this game. He's looked good this season, Dan.
Yeah, Bobby Caminas, the all-star. Had he can start for you, but he's became very adept at coming into innings with guys on base and finding ways to strand runners. This is his second consecutive outing where he's coming into a clean inning, but he's just been very efficient. Throws strikes with all of his pitches. Not a super hard fastball from a velocity standpoint, but he commands it well. Slider, curveball, split finger, just really competes out there and keeps guys off balance and hits the spots.
Face Freddie Geely, Julie Weimer, and Alec Oland, your Zach Hart agency men on deck. Here in inning number 5, still a 4-1 lead for this Birmingham Bloomfield squad. 15 innings of work for Caminas, one of the best stats so far, though 3 walks to 19 Ks.
That's one of my favorite things to see out of a pitcher. Just the positive K to walk ratio. It just says a lot.
Surmounts to a strikeout rate of 11 and a walk rate of 1.8.
Especially out of a reliever, if you know they're going to come in, strike guys out, and make the hitter earn their way on base. Managers love that.
Freddie Geely today, an RBI single back in the second. 9th RBI of the year. Got to hurry here as he runs well, but Caminas with a no-problem flip over to first to surrender the first batter here in the 5th. Is that the rally goose flying over the ballpark? You see that?
Yeah, I did see that. I do see that. Is that 2018, the Tigers with the rally goose?
Yeah, that was my intern year.
Okay.
That became such a sensation for about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Everyone who bought that T-shirt, I told them, you're gonna question that purchase after not very long.
First pitch to Weimer. Did that hit the glove of Caminas? Hodo. Tough play and a tough scoop for Curry, who doesn't play a lot of first base.
Curry was a little too aggressive in swiping at that ball. He had to let that one come to him just a little bit more, a little bit softer hands.
What do you call that one?
I was just thinking that to myself, wondering what to call it. Someone like Weimer puts so much pressure on the defense because he gets up the line so quick.
It was tough to see as well if...
I think you got to call it a hit, really, just because the Hodo went to his right quite a bit and had to throw off balance to have any chance of getting him. And then I don't think you can really call an error on Curry there either because the ball was in the dirt. So I think it's an infield hit.
They disagree with you on the board.
Is that right? Who'd they charge it to?
Not sure. Feeds to second in time, and holding on is Blaze, because we haven't seen another error by the Unicorns so far, right? They have one each on the board, and they stuck with 4 hits for Birmingham Bloomfield. And PJ Gradowski also does a lot of stats, certainly, in the off season for Detroit Mercy. Says you can never charge an error to the first baseman in that scenario.
I would agree with that, but my beef is more that I don't think you can charge it on the second baseman there either. When he's going to his right like that, throwing off balance to have a chance to get a fast runner.
Cameron Comer 1 for 2 today. Single and a walk, or a single and a run scored in the second. Struck out in the third. Kamita's going to fire one over to first base there.
Kamita's just does not allow much hard contact. He really doesn't.
0-1, golfed in the gap in right center field. That could be trouble. Cutting it off quickly is Bardzell. Going first to third, though, is Joey Weimer. Now 2 runners on with 2 outs here in the 5th. Could this man win the home run derby for the 2nd consecutive year?
Do you have your pick yet, or are you gonna wait till tomorrow?
They'll wait.
All right. All right. Are we gonna make sure we take opposite sides? Are we gonna have like a flip a coin for a first pick?
You trying to make this a debate team?
I don't know. It might be too boring if we pick the same guy.
That's true. We can do that if you want. Do you have yours? Or are you not going to say?
I'm still thinking. No, I'm still thinking about it. Really.
To be honest, I don't know yet either. Is this one is a swing and a miss here for Haffey?
Ballpark wise, do you see any advantage to being left side, right side? Maybe
not
just
completely.
Could depend how the wind's blowing. I mean, we might want to wait to see that tomorrow.
The wind does tend to blow when it blows. I mean, we rarely see a breeze. It seems like over 5 miles an hour, and it's a big deal. But
right.
It tends to go to right center. One-two is a swing and a miss by Haffey there, and a nice inning to reel it back in by Komitas in the end.
Gets a lot of swing and miss on that breaking ball.
1 out error and a 2 out single, strands both with the K. We're after this on the USPBL Network.
With Equinox from your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, the sky isn't the limit. Lease a 2020 Equinox LT front-wheel drive for just $261 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. Visit ChevyDetroit.com.
Detroit Mercy really models a value-based education. They focus a lot on service, which provides so many different experiences and opportunities. That allows us to tie in everything we learn, how to apply that outside of the class.
There are a number of different programs that we're a part of to help bring the community back and revitalize the city of Detroit. Doing service with the community really helps bring Detroit Mercy outside of the gates and to everyone.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Jeremy Idle back alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. here tonight. Time for your Senior Spotlight, brought to you by Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union. Representative from Utica High School here today, Charlie Boris.
Chieftains.
Yeah, plays the clarinet, a golfer, captain of the Quiz Bowl team as well. Also leads the student section, the Utica Chieftain Marching Band as well.
Nice.
So good stuff. Very diverse background. It's always good to see. I think if you have any, advice to a young person in high school these days, there's so many clubs to be a part of. There's so much to do.
It's probably been tougher the last 6 months or so, I guess, to stay involved.
That's for sure. A.J. Coleman out for his 5th inning of work. 75 pitches for this right-hander so far here tonight. Gotten in a few jams, but for the most part able to work out of it and hold on to this 3-run lead. Faced a similar amount of batters each inning. Had a leadoff walk back in the 4th. A single by Bethencourt as well, then retired them in order. First pitch to Hodo, in for strike one. Hodo today, single back in the third inning. Hodo, Luska, De La Cruz, 9-1-2 in the lineup for the Unicorns here. Brought to you by Zach Hart Agency. Got the hot rods out, making their noise here.
Yeah, I heard that.
A fairly empty ballpark due to our protocols and what the government will allow. That's magnified certainly this year, as this one is in for strike two. Auburn Road, right to right behind the ballpark, and the freeway is also very close as well.
Yeah, that stretch of M59 is always very busy. That's why you rarely talk to anyone in Metro Detroit these days who hasn't seen Jimmy John's Field. If they haven't been here, they've driven by it.
2-2 is going to stay fair down the first base line. Hodo trying to beat it out. Good job by Comer and Haffey to snipe him down for out number one here in the fifth.
Comer did a nice job stepping inside the first base line there to have a clear path to throw it to Haffey.
Kate Sawick-Lochner on Facebook says we're here tonight. Hope you're enjoying the game. It's cool to see some of the people in the stands still tune in. As Frankie Luska looks at strike one. Good swing back in the third inning. Hit a double to the gap that just kind of carried. Harris and Weimer were playing slightly in. They're back a little bit more to face Luska here in the fifth.
You know, we were talking about play-by-play guys earlier, and they say part of Vin Scully's growth in the early years was that when the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles, and they were not in Dodger Stadium yet, they were in the LA Coliseum, and that was such a bad place to watch baseball, and some of the seats were so far away that a lot of those patrons still brought their radios with them. So
really,
yeah, sitting in the Coliseum during baseball games, a lot of times you'd be able to hear Vin call the whole game, no matter where you were sitting.
1-2 here on Frankie Luska. The pitch is outside. I would have loved to see the Polo Grounds.
Oh yeah, that very deep center field.
Yeah,
the clubhouses were actually in center field, so the players walked out to center field after every game. Famous photo of Ralph Branco laying on those clubhouse steps after he gave up the home run that lost the pennant.
Outside 3-2. I think that's a favorite of anyone who plays MLB The Show. That's one of those stadiums that are on there.
Right. Do you have to unlock it or anything, or is it just in there as a choice?
No, I think it's just a choice.
Okay.
I don't play a lot of video games, but back in the day when I was a youngster, the PSP was a big thing.
Sure.
Here's the 3-2. Swing and a miss. Luska swinging out of his shoes for out number two here in the fifth. Your kids big video game people?
They are. We have an Xbox One, but their favorite thing to play on right now, I think, is the Nintendo Switch.
Okay. Yeah, that's popular.
I don't think I've even touched that. I have done a little Xbox One with them.
My nephews have one of those. It's can't take their eyes off it sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little troubling, honestly, but it's tough to discourage some of that stuff completely because that's obviously the way the world is going in a lot of ways. You know, it's going to those digital platforms and video and computers, and being adept at that stuff, I think, is going to be oddly important. I mean, look at some of the big scholarships there are now for gaming. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, that's a. Is it an NCAA sport officially? I think the NAI made it a sport.
I'm not sure if it's official or not. I know there's definitely institutions giving scholarships. You know, my father, the coach, as you know, Dan Griesbaum Sr., he used to have a speech at baseball camps where he would say, listen, kids, you are not going to get a scholarship for playing video games. And that speech is officially retired.
Have you talked to him about that?
I have. I told him he can't really make that speech anymore. I have told him that.
Is he disappointed, or?
He just, nods approvingly. He knows he's been defeated on that one.
The Griesbaums are avid watchers, from what I hear, of our broadcast.
They're proud of their son, I think.
2-1. Sounded like maybe a broken bat off the end as Brantz is able to collect the third out. Another quick inning for A.J. Coleman, his second 1-2-3 here tonight. Take a look at the standings when we get back.
The Weingarts family is honored to be celebrating 75 years of helping families like yours with your lawn equipment needs. While the equipment has changed, our grandfather's founding values and commitment to quality still drive our business.
We carry top brands like Exmark, Toro, Honda, Cub Cadet, and more. See the full lineup at Weingarts.com.
Whether it's new equipment, parts, or service, we work to earn your trust in each of our 6 locations.
From our family to yours, thank you for letting us serve you.
Weingarts, everything from lawn to snow.
USPBL standings brought to you by Scott's here tonight. The Unicorns trying to hold on to that top spot. They've gotten some room to breathe lately, though.
A little bit. A victory by the Beavers tonight will be interesting. That'll pull them into a second-place tie with the Hoppers. So that's a little bit bunched up there in the middle right now. A little surprised to see Comitas for another inning.
Yeah, he was scheduled to only go 1 here today, but the fact that Sereno only went 1 1/3 and Alice nearly went 2 full. We saw Austin Dakar for an inning. They're trying to possibly bridge to Donald Goodson. There isn't really anybody else available besides Goodson here today, so he might come in a non-save situation. He was kind of flagged as the closer here tonight with Nolan Clenny being used back-to-back nights. Had one of his longer outings of the season yesterday and some pressure pitches. So I don't know if he's unavailable today, but Jim Essien said that, we're going to give him a day off. You never know, exactly what they have in the tank, but you don't want to really pitch a guy 3 nights in a row per se.
Could probably be used in an emergency, I'm sure, but
Goodson is up and throwing now. Still has his T-shirt over the jersey.
Probably get his work in the 7th regardless of the situation.
First pitch slider. Had some nice bite to it. Spin rate of 22.62 on that one to the outside. Bethencourt comes in. Ball ate him up just a little bit. First time we've seen that from Dom. He's been real solid at third base.
Yeah, he's been very good coming in on the ball. Might have peeked up just a little bit to see where the runner was there. Pretty good runner. May have hurried just a touch.
It's the second error of the game for the Unicorns now. First pitch changeup outside there from Comitas.
We were talking about my father briefly there last inning. I didn't get a chance to get it in before the end of the inning, but wanted to wish him well. He's home recovering from a little bit of a knee procedure.
Okay.
Had a little scope done on the knee. Just nothing too serious, but just years and years of coaching and raking the field and God knows what else coaches have to do day in, day out, carrying bags of things and all that kind of stuff. And he's in his later 60s now, so just over the years developed a few tears of the meniscus, I believe it was. But procedure went well. He'll be good as new. Actually, the last thing that sort of tweaked it, that sent it to that, is he was playing some baseball with his grandkids, my sister's sons, and was coming around third base and felt a little something pinch.
Oh boy.
Oddly enough.
Yeah, meniscus isn't something to fool around with. We've seen that in basketball quite a bit. football sometimes and those guys that cut a lot.
Sure.
First and second to start the sixth here for the Beavers, looking for some AAA insurance runs. Already have a 4-1 lead off 5 hits and 1 error. The Unicorns 1 run off 3 hits and 2 errors thus far. The second here to begin the sixth on Bethencourt.
Williams has 3 walks today, right?
He does, yes.
It's always a weird day when you're on base 3 times like that, but you never made any contact. It's a good day, though.
It's Jared Price starting to warm up. A walk back in the second for Ron Williams Jr. He scored. A walk in the fourth and a walk here in the sixth now as Kaminas quickly gets ahead of Jonathan Brandt. He had a sure double, you'd think, off the bat.
Seemed that way.
Down the left field line before Derek Hurt said not too fast with the slide. Here's a 0-2. Luska can't get in front, and that will advance both base runners now in scoring position, and the Beavers are in prime position to add some runs on here.
Just didn't quite get his hips out far enough on that one to block it. Thinking about Ron Williams, one of my favorite lines from the Moneyball movie is when one of the players was upset about being 0 for 3 and Billy Beane reminded him that he walked twice. He's like, nope, you got on 2 out of 5 times.
On the ground, Bethencourt can't handle it. A run will score. Romero Harris touches home plate. Ron Williams Jr. advances to third, and now a 5-1 lead for the Beavers here in the sixth.
A couple tough balls in a row there for Bethencourt.
So another E5, no RBI for Jonathan Brandt, but swinging the bat a little bit better here today. Von Joshua has worked on a number of things with Jonathan Brandt in terms of his swing. First pitch curveball in for strike 1. Coming into today, the Beavers had kind of the same run scored and run against. Exactly, 62-62. Changing that a little bit here tonight.
I guess that makes sense. They're about 500-ish, right?
Mm-hmm. Averaging about 3.5 runs a game. You'd think that would go up as some of these hitters start to filter into this lineup from the tryout, as Riles being one of those. We've seen Joey Weimer consistently in Von Joshua's lineup. Xavier Warren for about a 4 or 5 game stretch was right there in the 3 through 5 hole as well.
You would think so. You know, you have to remind yourself that just because it's August and it's warm, the season's not that old yet. The bats are still bound to heat up a little bit more, I think.
0-2. Curveball that had some funky break on it to the outside. 1-2 on TJ Riles. Still no outs in the inning. Beavers looking to add to this lead even further here. Sawed off to left. Hurts. Got a good break on it. And that'll end up in a sac fly and an RBI for TJ Riles, his second of the game. Not often that you get 2 sac flies.
No, especially a speedy leadoff man like TJ Riles.
Freddie Geely 1 for 3 today. RBI single back in the second inning for this speedy second baseman. Remind you can talk with us on Facebook, on YouTube, the chat section, each and every game this year. So now runners on, or a single runner on first. As Ron Williams Jr. came around to score the second run of the inning, 2 errors by Bethencourt. Donald Goodson continues to tune up here down the left field line. we might see him come in the end here in the 6th. I mean, he's a starter. Hasn't necessarily been stretched out since his absence with that shoulder pain. 1-0 here on Freddie Geely. And they're really thinking that Goodson is going to be more of a back-end piece going forward.
It'll be interesting to follow that.
Sinking liner to center field. De La Cruz cutting to the gap to collect out number 2. So that one just hung up there a little bit too long for Freddie. So the 2nd out in the 6th inning, and we'll see Joey Weimer for the 4th time here tonight. Now, congratulations to Larry Kubiak and Celestine Elzy, both correctly guessed iced coffee as the winner of the Dunkin' Donuts race here tonight. If you message us on Facebook, I'll send you a $5 Dunkin' Donuts gift card. Heidi Schmidt on Facebook says, sitting in the stands with my mom tonight, go Unicorns. Thanks for also tuning in to us, Heidi, as well. Runner in motion, the 1-0, low and away. Luska targets that one, and a good scoop by Hodo.
He got a little bit sidearm there, it looked like. His feet weren't really set. He's just going to have to work with his footwork a little bit. It's a process.
TCF Bank stolen base here in the 6th inning. Puts another runner in scoring position. Here's the 2-0. Big rip again at the changeup.
Very healthy cut.
Luska going to go out to talk with Bobby Komitas here. Brian Comer says he liked the graphics with defensive positions to start the game. Someone is upping the graphics scheme. That's Jeremiah Hergott, PJ Krudowski. The minds coming together on that. Starting lineup's always brought to you by AAA of Michigan. So we thank AAA and our 2 fine members of our crew for continually improving our broadcast week in and week out. 2-1, popped him up. Curry Bardzell going into foul territory, and it's Coley Curry who ends the threat. So it could have been worse. 2 runs do come around to score. 2 errors and a walk. The damage against Bobby Komitas here on the USPBL Network.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Take a second look at the Home Run Derby participants tomorrow. Frankie Luska, Trevor McKinley, Ross Haffey, and Joey Weimer.
Some pretty good swingers there, that's for sure. A lot about rhythm. You got to see who gets hot. It's about rhythm. Sometimes you get tired if you start too fast. Anyone who's done a home run derby always says that they're surprised how tired they get at the end.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting more into your swing than you probably more so do any other
max effort type swings.
Especially when it comes down to the nitty gritty and potentially winning it and everything that goes into that. Here comes Jared Price. He relieves A.J. Coleman here in the 6th inning.
I always enjoyed watching Ken Griffey Jr. do home run derbies because it looked like he just wasn't trying that hard. You know, just that nice, easy left-handed swing.
Jared with a 2.13 ERAs through 10 appearances, 12 2/3 innings, 12 hits, 7 runs, just 3 earned thus far, 7 walks to 15 strikeouts. So it's Price, Ferguson, and Amani Godfrey, the 3 arms available for Von Joshua here tonight. Prince Fielder has had several memorable home run derbies.
Yes. A lot of times left-handed hitters have an advantage because a lot of ballparks have a shorter right field porch than they do left field.
You know, I'm thinking about your question in terms of if the lefty or the righty has more of an advantage. I feel like the ball carries a little bit more to right field down the line and towards that berm more than anything. We talked about the wind being a factor sometimes that way, and I don't know if that's just me, you know, pulling that out of nowhere or just something that I've noticed.
It does seem that way. Although last year's winner was Haffey, who's a right-hander.
Right. But he's the guy who can spray it to the opposite field.
He can.
His 1 home run this year was onto that berm and right.
True.
1-1 popped him up. Riles sliding to make the catch.
Tell you that, I thought that ball was further into left field than it turned out, but Riles read it right away. He was coming hard after that one, right off the bat. It was a really good read.
Steven Natushko says he taught Price to throw the gyro ball last night.
Last night. I think it was the gyro ball. Was it Daisuke that threw that?
Maybe.
Originally? I believe it was one of the Japanese pitchers.
Ever hit against a blitz ball? Kind of the wiffle ball type
I don't think so.
Moves a lot?
No, not that I recall.
1-0 here on Ashton Bardzell. Pitches outside. Myself and 2 of my neighbors to my left and right, 2 baseball players, kind of grew up, you know, playing catch with them and playing all kinds of wiffle ball in the backyard.
Sure.
Had the bases, had home plate, had one of those nets, you know, kind of sock nets with the hole in the middle that we kind of use as our backstop. But that would never keep anything in. You know, balls would pepper to the neighbor, one side, the other side. And if you hit it left or right, that's not a problem. But we often lost balls to the dog behind us.
Sure.
We used to go all out, I'm telling you.
I didn't play a ton of neighborhood baseball, honestly. There wasn't that many kids on my street, and I spent most of my extra time with my father's team, or he, in the summer, he used to do hitting lessons over at Kite Monroe, if you remember that.
Yeah.
You're from the east side a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. I played some baseball at Kite.
Yep. So he did hitting lessons and things. I think he ran a summer tournament over there several years. So I was always spending a lot of my extra time at actual baseball fields as opposed to in the neighborhood.
Dominic Bethencourt, 1 for 2 today with a single back in the 4th inning.
A little bit of a tougher defensive day for Bethencourt today.
This one is high. We used to play that kind of ghost rule, and you just throw it at the base.
Right.
And to try to...
Out at the mound is another way you could play it. If you get the ball to the mound before the guy gets to the base, he's out.
We had certain zones. That was a double. That's a triple. Obviously, over the fence is a home run.
Sure.
This one is popped foul. We used to use the wiffle ball. I mean, they were wiffle ball brand, but they were the ones without the holes.
Okay.
So if you know, throw it hard and you make good contact, that thing's going a long way.
Sure. Yeah, the holes is what makes it move crazy.
Right. 1-1. Nice slider there by Price for strike 2.
As I got older, I was always weary about throwing wiffle balls. I just didn't think it was going to be good for my arm, which is probably correct. I don't think it is good for him.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to throw it as fast as you can.
Right.
There's a certain extra whipping motion that it takes to do that. This one on the corner for strike 3 at 92. Nice pitch by Jared Price for out number 2 here in the 6th. So Jared 1 out away from trying to turn this back to the offense. And Antonio Torres going to get a pinch hit appearance here for Nick Snyder. 0 for 2 with 2 Ks here tonight. So his 4-game hitting streak will end due to the pinch hitter here. Now Torres, one swing of the bat. I mean, it would almost, in sense, cut the lead in half, I guess. It's 6-3. Not totally out of reach right now for the Unicorns. Golfs this one into right. And Bardzell trying to go first to third here. They're going to line up a throw, but Geely cuts it off. So first and third with 2 outs, and that's exactly what you want to do off the benches. Come off swinging, yeah?
Yeah, great approach there, pinch hitting wise by Torres. He was looking for one pitch in one zone, got it, swung the bat hard, got a base hit. That's what you got to do. Dave Bergman, the longtime Tiger who was a role player, was always very adamant about that. When you sit around for a long time and end up pinch hitting late in the game, you've got to be ready to hack right away.
Malik Blaze 0 for 2 today, ground out and a fly out thus far. Popped him up. Major league pop-up here as Oland is under that for out number 3. Now time for the race here today, the highly anticipated one.
Those Motor City wheels are messing around.
Holy hot rods, it's race time. Chevy Detroit wheels, start your engines.
Petey Pickup out first. He's usually coming out second or third here, Dan.
Good point. I think he's gonna flame out fast though. I think. Oh, he already got run into the wall already. I'm gonna go Corey Corvette today.
Oh, they're really trading the paint here.
Yeah, Corey Corvette's going backwards.
This looks like WrestleMania, like we talked about earlier.
Except they're all Akeem and Andre the Giant. There's no no killer bees or there's no high flyers in this group right now. Oh. Come on, Corey.
Oh, the little charge. He said enough is enough with this.
Am I going to win a race?
This bumper car action.
Let's go, Corey. Finish strong.
Got to get to the first base dugout here, and Corey Vett is able to take it home.
I haven't picked the winner of this in a long time. I guess I was due because I got the trivia question wrong today.
Donald Goodson, a Hoffman Dental pitching change for the Unicorns here in the 7th. They're using a lot of these arms over the last few days.
Last game Goodson was out. I thought he had a really good changeup. I know he traditionally likes his changeup. I think he should maybe throw it even more than he does, really.
Called the Bugs Bunny changeup when it's going the right way. Converted position player. Has kind of been known as a starter lately, but kind of settling into a back-end bullpen role for Jim Essien late in this season after receiving some shoulder soreness that kept him out nearly 2 weeks.
How about the swinging strike rate on his changeup? Almost 28.
That's really good.
It's a lot for a changeup.
That would be good for a slider or curveball.
Right.
They say he went on that one. Goodson pitched the 6th inning a couple nights ago against the Hoppers. They sent 8 to the plate, scored 2. He gave up 3 hits, hit a batter, and walked a batter as well. Fastball, changeup, slider, curveball. The curveball is used the least. 9% on the curve, 10% on the slider. The 0-2 fastball above the belt for strike 3.
It's tough to catch up with that when you see a couple of breaking balls in a row, especially.
Goodson looking for the hold here with his squad down 5. They'll look to turn on the offense in the bottom of the 7th inning. They've won the first 2 games this week that they've played, have these Utica Unicorns, and kind of separated some space at the top of the standings thus far. First pitch changeup remains high. Can hear the crickets. Maybe in the trees by the Clinton River with the ballpark fairly silent here. There's a...
Only in COVID times will you hear the crickets here at the ballpark. Hopefully, anyway.
Cameron Comer steps out of the box. It's kind of like some white noise at night, right? When you have the window open during the summer.
Sure.
Cameron Comer, 2 singles in this game, scored on a single back in the 2nd. Another changeup flipped in at 82.
He seems very comfortable throwing that pitch to left-handers especially. And he'll back-to-back it too, which isn't really that common of a thing with a changeup. Or 3 in a row.
Just missed on that one.
Yep.
Goodson so far this year, 7 innings, 1 start, and 6 appearances now. 3 hits given up, 4 walks to 10 strikeouts. Pitched 90 innings last year in the USPBL. Walk to strikeouts were even. It's a little misleading in terms of what happened after that. This one spoiled out of play. You think, you know, even walks to even strikeouts for a starter, a lot of runs are coming around, generally, right?
Right.
But a 2.71 ERA, and that comes with him kind of bearing down when those walks get on. But ultimately, you don't want to do that. I mean, it's not a sustainable.
No. And it drives up your pitch count, which
your pressure pitch count too.
Yeah, and it makes you in some ways less valuable to your team because you can't go as many innings as a result of that. So it's definitely something you want to cut down on.
Talked to Shane McCaddy last week about him, and he brought up a good point. You know, Goodson, a guy who comes with a blank slate in terms of never pitching before really in his life until getting to professional ball, but also meaning that there's no, you know, sustainable taxing on the arm that's happened because of a bad delivery or, you know, just long innings when you shouldn't have went that long in high school or college. 2-2 is served into left field. Pats the outstretched glove of Bethencourt. And let's face it, you know, high school coaches, college coaches, not always, you know, maybe managing these arms.
Yeah, and they're not professionals either. You know, they're not going to be as adept recognizing bad habits. And now, you know, nowadays there's rules as far as high school pitch count, but for many, many years there were not. That's just a recent phenomenon. So, yeah, there was a lot of pitchers abused in high school over the years, and in different states, I'm sure they probably still are. Michigan just, you know, came up with a rule for pitch count, but.
The number one thing, though, when they, you know, identified that this was an arm that could be on the mound, I mean, this is still a guy who came into the tryout for the USPBL as a middle infielder.
Right.
And, you know, an outfielder once in a while, but they said, okay, we're clocking him at 90 in the outfield. Let's throw him on the mound. And immediately, you know, he translated to a guy who could command pitches.
And developing a feel for a changeup is especially difficult.
Absolutely. And they use the mechanics of Donald Goodson as kind of a go-to when they show new guys coming into the USPBL what the DVS can do and what, you know, a sound mechanical form can look like. Haffey hits that one back at the pitcher 93 into left field.
Yeah, that probably goes back to the fact that he was probably something of a blank slate. You know, as you mentioned, they're probably able to really craft him the ideal way as far as his approach and his mechanics go.
And that shoulder soreness, not something that the staff here at the USPBL really too worried about. Shane McCaddy kind of just attributing it to a guy out of COVID, and we've seen this for a couple of starters. Noah Goetzies was another one that we saw with some soreness. Just trying to stretch it out and, you know, maybe trying to build it up too quickly, and it happened. Blaze to Hodo, and that's off target, and it'll extend the inning here in the 7th and put Cameron Comer at third as these Beavers look for yet another AAA insurance run here in the 7th.
Curry did a nice job coming off the bag there to keep that in front of him. Whenever there's a runner on second base moving toward third, if you're the first baseman, if you're not sure you have it, you got to come off the bag and knock that down.
Ron Williams Jr. has walked 3 times, has scored twice on the free passes as well. 6th inning and 2nd inning for this Beavers offense. Swing and a miss by Ron Williams Jr.
Chased one a little bit out of the zone there. He's probably anxious to swing at this point.
0-1, zipped in at 95, his best fastball tonight.
That was right by him.
Strikeout, single, fielder's choice. The line against Don Goodson so far here tonight. 4 runs in the 2nd for the Beavers, 2 in the 8th. 94 and down. Donald Goodson hoping for a strikeout there.
Took a step toward the dugout.
Jonathan Brandt, your Zach Hart agency man on deck here in the 7th. Here's the 1-2. 94, pops it to Hodo, recovers to Blaze, and that is the end of the 7th inning here. Unicorns with one last shot. They got to get the bats going. 8-9-1 due up after Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Here's Leo Ortel with that, your public address announcer.
It's that time. Sponsored by Genesis Credit Union. It's time for the 7th inning stretch and Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Let's hear you sing. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Thank you, fans, for participating in the 7th inning stretch.
That's Leo Ortel, your public address announcer here. Monty Godfrey on to try to seal this one off. Not a save situation. They still have Jack Ferguson available if need be here in the 7th. Derek Hurt, John Hodo, Frankie Luska, your Zach Hart agency men on deck. So what do you expect out of Godfrey here tonight, Dan?
He's been a little bit up and down for me. He's a guy who really depends, I think, on locating his fastball. He's got a good slider, but you know, like anyone, it plays off the fastball a little bit. And if he can command both sides of the plate with his fastball, his slider can be very effective. And you know, some of his better outings, he's done that pretty well. A guy who's a little bit tough to see, I think, for the hitters, just judging from where we stand, of course. But he's got sort of a short arm action, keeps the ball hidden a little bit. Pretty good velocity on his fastball. Not overpowering necessarily, but 88, 89 type fastball. And again, with that short arm action, I think it gets on guys a little.
Godfrey with an elevated ERA through 4 appearances, 9.52, 5 walks to 6 Ks thus far. And that bit Derek Hurt here in the 7th. So not the way that Godfrey wanted to start things here.
To me, it looks like a tough arm slot to pitch from consistently. Tough to repeat his arm slot.
John Hodo 1 for 2 today. He's got 3 hits in his first few games in the USPBL thus far. Fly ball to center field. Weimer to the right center field gap to pick out number 1 here. Fastball, curveball, changeup, slider for Amani Godfrey.
I know there's not a lot of situational play yet necessarily in the league, but for me, when you're down 5 in the last inning as a hitter, you better really, really, really like that first pitch if you're going to swing. Your team needs base runners to have a chance to tie the ball game, and if you don't really love that first pitch, I think you need to get a little deeper in the count.
Jordan Finney will get his first AB. Took over defensively for Luska in the last half. So Finney and then De La Cruz, if they can get something going here. Fly ball to left center field. That's chasing Riles back. Not far enough, though, for out number 2.
Hit that ball pretty hard. He just got under it a little bit.
Off the bat at 87.6. A lot of fans on the chat rooting for a Unicorns comeback here. It's tough sledding with 2 outs and a 5-run spread. And Adam De La Cruz up to try to keep it going. Walk back in his AB in the first, scored a run, fly out and a ground out. His other 2 is that fastball in for ball 1. All-Star game tomorrow. On the air at 5:20. Myself, Dan Griesbaum Jr. and Chelsea Estes will be on the call.
Do you like one roster better than the other?
I tend to lean towards the side where all the Unicorns pitching is on because they've done so well this year.
Yep. I think I like the west side lineup a touch better, but I'm with you on the pitching on the east side. I think I like the pitching better. So,
especially in a 7-inning game.
Right. Any word who's home or away?
I'm not sure. That might be in a roster here that we can pull up.
Home is the West. I just found it here.
Okay.
It's always a very slight statistical advantage just to being home.
Two and one on Adam De La Cruz. Yeah, for so long, the home field in the World Series determined by the All-Star game in the MLB put utmost importance on it as De La Cruz lines out to end this game here tonight. Amani Godfrey able to strand the leadoff hit by pitcher in the 7th inning. That's good work. 3 flyouts. 1 to Riles and then the other 2 to Joey Weimer. And a nice job by the Beavers to shut this one down and pick up a solid 6-1 victory over the #1 team in the USPBL this year.
It was a good win for the Beavers. You know, one that keeps them in this race, certainly, and pretty good start from A.J. Coleman. Again, he has a tendency to always keep you in the ball game, and he certainly did that today as we watch them. I don't even know, what do you call this? Is that a foot shake, I guess? 2020 is an interesting year, but you know, some takeaways on the Unicorn side too. You know, Miguel Sereno is going to be an interesting arm to follow as the season progresses, and I like some of the things I saw out of Damon Ellis too for the Unicorns. Watch that that young man as he progresses in the league here. So an interesting night all the way around for me.
Well, we'll have our Michigan Surgery Specialist Player of the Game from the United Shore Media Desk and our Auto Lab post-game show next. Stick around.
Order Jimmy John's and we'll bring it to your car door. Leave it at your front door or have it ready for you at our drive-thru. Just use jimmyjohns.com or our app to tell us what sandwiches, drinks, chips, and cookies you're hungry for. When you want it and how you want it. We're ready.
Catch the Chevy Malibu at your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Lease a 2020 Malibu 1LT for just $288 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
When you need emergency care, you want your hospital to be ready for whatever comes through the door. Ready for any injury and any illness. Ready to respond at the speed of emergencies. That's why McLaren Macomb built a new emergency department. With advanced technology, clinical expertise, and 68 private exam rooms, we're Macomb County's largest emergency department, and we're ready for you whenever you need us. That's emergency care at McLaren Macomb. That's doing what's best.
From the very get-go in your major, you are doing things involved with your major. And they really do a good job with finding professors that not only know what they're talking about, but know how to teach what they're talking about.
Here, the professor cares about your success and is willing to work for it with you.
You get the intensive care from each professor. You get the interactions with different students both in and outside of your major.
There's always something happening on campus. There's always something to do. Go visit campus and really experience everything that campus has to offer. Once you do that, it makes up your mind for you.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
When you are in need of air conditioning services, turn to the experienced professionals at McQuaid Heating and Cooling, Plumbing and Refrigeration. Since 1970, we've been delivering high-quality air conditioning installation and repair services. Call for a free estimate today. Let us help you be cool and comfortable. For comprehensive HVAC services, contact McQuaid Heating and Cooling, Plumbing and Refrigeration today.
Can you feel that? Something's changing. A shift from a focus on me to something bigger. Because while it's perfectly fair to ask, what's in it for me? Finding the answer comes from asking, what's in it for we? At TCF Bank, our purpose lies in answering that question, in giving every me the financial strength to make us all a stronger we.
Welcome back to the Auto Lab post-game show here on the USPBL Network. 6-1 your final score overall here today as the Beavers hang on to a nice victory. 2 runs in the 6th inning, kind of able to pad that win in the end for the Beavers here tonight. Here with our player of the game, it's A.J. Coleman, the starting pitcher here tonight. A.J., nice win for the squad.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Jeremy.
You look at what you did here tonight. The breaking ball looked good, and it's something you kind of refined as the game went on.
Yeah, no, I thought the spin got better on it. Started to locate it better as the game went on. So, yeah, that happens sometimes. Just got to get into a good rhythm, and I thought as the game went on, I got into a better and better rhythm and was able to get 5 good innings.
I know the foot strike and the arm angle is something that Justin Orenduff and, they're evaluating you through the DVS. How do you think you did on that here tonight?
They said I was doing some things better. The ankle drive and the arm, getting the arm up are 2 things that I've really been working on. So they said some things are good, some things can still get better. So that's what you're here for, to keep working and stuff. But just another good opportunity to keep working on it in a game environment. And yeah.
Some pieces added to this lineup. It's looking pretty good. I mean, you got Joey Weimer there right in the middle. Some guys added to the bottom and the top. It's shaping up quite nicely.
Yeah. Joey's been a good addition to the squad. I played 2 years with him at Cincinnati, and so I know how he plays, and he's a really good player. And so when I saw he was coming to play with us, that was awesome. And yeah, the guys have been playing hard, and that's all you can really ask for.
All-Star game and home run derby here tomorrow. That's always a fun time to be around, right?
Yeah. Thankful and grateful to be an All-Star. That's awesome. Probably won't be thrown in the game, obviously, but yeah, it'll be fun. The home run derby should be fun. Hopefully we get a lot of home runs, and yeah, just another good experience, and it should be a good day at the ballpark tomorrow.
As we move towards the second half of the season, obviously you're going to continue working on your things, but what do you think your team needs to do to keep on, going up in the standings as well?
I think just coming to the park ready every day. The off days, trying to get the best work we can in. With the COVID stuff going on, it's hard sometimes. We only have limited amount of time at the field and all that, but just sticking with it. Baseball, you know, playing almost every day. Not here, but just playing hard every day. I think we really just got to stick with it.
Well, AJ, thanks for sticking with us here today. Another good start, second in a row for AJ Coleman. Goes 5 innings and strikes out 4 here tonight. A big 6-1 victory for the Beavers. Snapped the 2-game winning streak this week for the Unicorns. Off day for everybody tomorrow in sorts, but certainly a lot of these guys throwing and hitting tomorrow in the All-Star game. We'll be on the air at 5:20 p.m. starting with the Home Run Derby. That should be good, along with the game following shortly after. We'll see you then here on the USPBL Network. Have a great night, everyone.